Hurry up, Brady! Ah! Let's go! This guy's silky. Let's go. I need everybody up. This is an everybody up kind of day. Guess who it is? Do I even have to tell you who's next to me right now? It's the GOAT, B-Hawks Memes, aka Justin Lynch. I should have done that the other way around, but you know who it is.
It's all good. I
Justin's here in the cut. I already saw chat losing their minds before this, getting excited to see Justin in the flesh, and he is here. We also have Tassos, Kirkos, and Raven Gasser in the other room, per usual.
The gas man.
Dude, we've got such a big, packed show today. So much to get through. That's why we had to start a little early. Obviously, there were the Hawks exit interviews yesterday. If you didn't see all those, it's fine because we did, and we're going to be rolling out some of the clips for you. Anders Sorensen included. Anders Sorensen clips today.
Historic. The last ever Anders Sorensen clip. Or is it?
Or is it?
Or is it, honestly? We'll get into it, but it might not be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then in the NHL hour, we're going to be doing a playoff preview, talking about every single series. We've got another Mount Rushmore that we pre-recorded that I lost already.
Which one are we showing today?
The one we posted yesterday, the Hawks moments one.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yes.
I still won, even without the names. Y'all thought you found a way to beat me, and guess what? I still find a way to win.
Yeah, I suck. But and then we are also going to be talking to Dennis Bernstein, who is from NHL Network Radio for SiriusXM. He covers the LA Kings, and I'm excited to talk to him about that series because I feel like I have a read. I'm confident with a lot of my picks. That series, I don't know. And I think we can probably guess which side he's going to be leaning.
Definitely Edmonton guy, right?
Nonetheless, going to be a really good guy to talk to in the NHL hour. So all that and more. But yeah, let's... Before we get into anything, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not yet. I know we say this every single show, and it's because it's really important to us. It helps us out a lot. Same thing with following the Instagram, all the social medias, to be honest with you. They're all Chicago Hockey Radio, really easy to find. And then give us 5-star rating and a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
We got one more housekeeping thing to go over as well.
Okay.
Are you streaming anything this weekend?
Oh, as a matter of fact, we are. First day of the playoffs tomorrow, Saturday, 2 games. We will be streaming both of them back to back. So what is that, 5 hours of a CHR content? I'm not sure if we're just going to do 2 straight. I think we're just going to roll that into one stream, right? And one game right into the next, right?
Yeah,
so
it's not going to be a longer, maybe
that's
a tiny break. But yeah, we're going to be going all night long tomorrow.
Yep.
And that's just the first of many. I mean, we're going to be streaming as many of these as possible. On Monday, there's 4 games, and we're going to be streaming, covering all of them. Yeah. We're going to be live during that whole time on Monday, too. So a lot to look forward to in CHR land. I'm just so excited for these playoffs to kick off finally. You know, it's been fun to watch the Hawks over the past week or two, but the rest of the games around the NHL just haven't moved me because I don't care about the final 2-3 games for most of these teams. So finally to have playoff hockey here, it's very exciting. Okay, I think we got all of the housekeeping stuff out of the way. Actually, one more thing. Like the stream right now. We got 20 people in here. Everybody liked the stream. We're at 17, so you guys are doing actually a pretty good job.
Boost it up. Boost her up.
All right. Let's start with Blackhawks talk here. Obviously, it is the Hawks hour. What do you want to start with? Do you want to start with big picture? Do we want to start with Kyle Davidson? I mean, they interviewed like literally everybody on the team yesterday.
At least all the important people, even the not-important people they interviewed.
Yeah. But Kyle Davidson talked for like almost 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good press conference. I watched the whole thing. I do believe in I believe in him. I do believe in Kyle. I am a believer in Kyle Davidson. But I do think this is going to be a big summer for him.
Yes, a legacy summer.
He was asked about the coaching change and or maybe lack thereof. He was asked about the draft. He was asked about like everything. One thing that I noticed is he was asked about like free agency and bringing players in, and he like. You can tell he wants to bring in like Mitch Marner. Yep. Like honestly, specifically, the vibe I get from him is that like he wants to bring in Mitch Marner.
He said it without saying it. Yeah.
But the way he says it is he wants to brace every single Blackhawk fan for the very
disappointment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it just might not happen because of Mitch Marner's decision or the Toronto Maple. And so that's kind of what he said about free agency and trades in general is like, yeah, we're going to be trying to bring in talent, but it's not always up to you. Yeah. And so he's like, to be honest with you, maybe more likely not than we do.
I do like what he said, though, where it's like he's definitely not going to repeat what he did last offseason, right? Where he brought in 7-8 guys. Some of them worked out okay. Some of them absolutely did not, right? He kind of acknowledged without acknowledging it, that without saying it, that what he did last offseason in terms of, the free agency didn't really pan out, right? I think we saw that. That's a big part of why they made the coaching change, right? I think there's a reason, too. Like, they waited to bring all these youth into the roster until, if it was Sorensen, the Ice Hawks coach, right? They didn't do it under Richardson, right? And I think we saw the second half of the season was a lot more entertaining, a lot more enjoyable, a lot more positive for those reasons because we were watching real Blackhawks cook it up, right? Not a bunch of these unks and vets, right? So we're not going to see that again next year. Like we're going to start next year's Hawk season very much how this one ended, but hopefully with a slightly bolstered roster as well. I think quality over quantity, like we've been saying it on the show, right? And it sounds like based on that presser, KD's clearly been listening to us at CHR, right?
Obviously.
And that seems to be the plan, right? It's going to be maybe 1 or 2 big additions up top of the forward core. We'll see if he decides to roll with this young D core. Maybe he brings in another experienced guy. Maybe not. Goaltending we have kind of figured out there. So really, I think it just comes down to a couple big additions up front. Nail this draft, the coaching, and those really 3 key points. I think you nail those. And next season's going to be cinema.
And even though I don't know, KD is just so funny. Like it's such like we've said it before. Yeah, it's like a politician.
Such a politician.
He doesn't actually, which is part of the job. Like as a GM, you're not gonna, because then you're kind of just showing your cards to the rest of the league.
Yeah.
So like I understand it. Honestly, a funny skit idea would be us like translating the things that Kyle Davidson says.
Actually, I like
write
that he does
down.
that.
Write that down.
I like that does it. Even last year, like even when he got Connor, but like the first overall pick in the 2023 draft, he never said he was taking
literally.
Connor Bedard. Like last year, Mike Greer was like, "Oh yeah, we're taking Celebrini at 1." I'm like, "This isn't the NBA, dude. Like, don't ever give the opposition your plans. Like, oh, here we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Here's what we're gonna do. Here's our plan, guys." Like, I kind of like that he doesn't give you that, and you kind of have to play this guessing game. It makes our job a little bit more fun too, maybe a little more stressful, but it makes it more fun.
Also,
right?
maybe a little bit more important.
Yes, no,
like
for sure.
If the general manager was just saying anything, like to saying what he was gonna do every time, nobody would be like, "Oh, I wonder what the general manager is gonna do. What do you guys think?"
Yeah, no, it's kind of fun to speculate over it. I think too, like he always has backup plans in mind, right? Like there are some Hawks fans I saw freaking out on Twitter because there was I think Scott Powers' article in The Athletic that said like the Hawks were like looking at a guy like a Frundell in Sweden because Powers was just over there interviewing Marcus Kruger, so obviously he's going to ask him about his teammate as a top prospect in the draft. But Hawks fans automatically leap up and like, "Oh, so you're telling me that that's the guy we're looking at in this draft?" It's like, no. If the worst case scenario pans out, the Hawks get the 4 pick per se. What's the backup plan, right? Who are guys you're looking at to take worst case scenario? KD's always thinking about that, right? He's definitely a pessimistic sort of guy. He's always thinking about the worst case scenario. So it's like, when you get surprised and things fall in your lap, then it makes it even sweeter, right? So hopefully that happens again. Hopefully we get lucky in this draft lottery, and that happens. And like we said, those things that he's going to do the offseason, he makes that right. Potentially brings in a piece like a Marner, and if not, look, there's solid backup plans here. And I think we've brought this up too, where it's like if we don't get Mitch Marner, it's not the end of the world. Like we see we see this youth team coming together here. It's it's like it seems pretty clear to me that the main objective. I think we've talked about this for a while, and I think Sarah always brought up before. It's like is coaching. It's getting that right. He brought this up in the press conference too, where it's like it looks like the coaching decision. We're going to hear about that probably sooner than we think, right? I think when the 2022 offseason, when they brought in Richardson, I believe it was like late June, early July, we heard about it like around the draft. This could be something that's solved, pretty soon. I'm not saying it's going to happen this month, probably maybe like a late May, early June thing, but the Hawks are clearly working on it right now. Interviews are going to start, and we do know David Carl's at the top of the list. So again, there's not going to be a coach in the offseason who's more sought after than David Carl, but I would argue there's no team that's better equipped to land him than the Blackhawks. So that's the number one objective for me. Get that figured out, and then you can start worrying about, right now, obviously they're probably talking about, after the draft ladder, they'll be talking about, the draft and stuff and like prospects to look at, yada, yada. So it'll be coach, draft lottery, the draft, and then offseason free agent stuff. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Honestly, it does kind of seem like a timeline a little bit.
Yeah.
Like he probably wants to get the coach figured out first. And he did mention that because obviously he didn't give away much he didn't even say like, even though Frank Saravalli reported that David Carl's the top of the list, he obviously didn't say that. He even said that it might be Anders Sorensen next year.
There's no way. Like, I know he said that. Like, it does. I will say this though. Like, we did speculate what Sorensen's future is if it's not with the Blackhawks head coach, right? He did make it sound like, and I think a lot of the players have said it, he does seem to be a well-liked guy in the room. Like a lot of the players speak highly of him, right? So it wouldn't shock me if he was still in the organization, kind of like what Derek King was, right? He was interim a few years back and stayed as an assistant. I'm not saying he's going to be an assistant for the Hawks, but he might be a dev guy. Like I know they have guys like that in the system and the coaching staff. So if he wants to do that, like we have a young roster here, you just work with the young guys, right? I mean, it's the guys that we develop guys like Pasternak in Sweden. So it's like if you want to keep a guy like that around who the players love and can help them develop, I'm cool with that. Just not head coach. Like I think we've been down this road.
I don't think it's serious. I think it's genuinely just like a negotiating tactic. Yeah. And when you're talking to a potential coaching candidate, you can be like, hey, we've got this guy that has done the job. Air quotes. Yeah. I think he's just saying that to use in like a negotiating room. But he did say, to your point, that he would like to keep Anders Sorensen with the Chicago Blackhawks, regardless of if he's the head coach next year. Which is, it's good for Anders Sorensen. He seems like a nice guy. Yeah. I think in the development thing too, like all these young players do seem to really like him. I just don't think he's an NHL head coach. That's the only slight against him.
I think it's good to have backup plans in place too, where it's like worst case scenario, God forbid it doesn't work out. The Hawks don't land David Carl, and maybe they just have a hard time at the interviews. There's nobody that really pops out. Worst case scenario is a placeholder, right? This is the Chicago Blackhawks, man. They're going to find somebody. I'm not really too concerned about that, but if they want to keep him in the organization, I'm not really opposed to it if he's liked, and I think in that type of position like that, I think that's where he could really succeed. So I'll give him credit. I think he's been better than Richardson. I mean, that wasn't really a large bar to cross there. And I think he also had a better roster to work with, but I think there's a reason for that, right? I think there are people who was like, oh, it wasn't really Richardson's fault. Like, why do you think the Hawks waited to bring up all these young guys until, Sorensen was brought in, right? It's because that's a guy that they feel comfortable with kind of developing these young kids. He's used to it, right? So, no, we have one more Sorensen clip to get to as well, right? Or again, like I said, it might not be the last one, but because I don't think they really do clips of assistant coaches and dev guys. It's really only the head coach that you get to see that stuff from.
I'm going to predict right now that after this, we are never hearing an Anders Sorensen clip ever again on this show.
Chat's going to freak out, man. What are they going to do without the Anders Sorensen clips?
Pop bottles of champagne. I don't know. But to wrap up Kyle Davidson talk, it was a good presser. He seems to be, as pumped about the future, obviously, as we are. Towards the end of the season, we're finally starting to see his hard work pay off with the guys he's been drafting, come into the lineup, take over the team. And I think that's kind of like from all these interviews, that's kind of the message going into next year is like, it's time for these guys to take over the team and not just be like young guys in a lineup. Like, no, you're not just a young player making your debut or your first few set of games, whatever it is. This is your team now. And so I think the expectation is that they all have good summers where they work on the things they need to work on. And then next year, I don't think the team's going to be looking too different than what it looks like right now. And then also one funny thing that he did say, because they asked him about the draft and they were trying to like get specifics out of him. Yeah. And he was like, I didn't tell you guys it was going to be Connor when we picked him. You guys think I'm going to do this now? Which
That is kind of telling, though, where it's like there's clearly a guy the Hawks favor. It's Misa. Like if the Hawks have the first or second pick, like assuming the Sharks are 1 and they take Schaefer, like Misa's going to be the guy they pick. So, but again, worst case scenario, oh no, you end up with Martone or James Higgins at 3 or 4. Like oh no, anyway, last week, like we'll be fine, right? Like I'm not really too concerned. Hawks have a good position here, right, in this draft. I wasn't really expecting going into the season that would be guaranteed a top 4 pick, and I think in the long run that's going to be a good thing. I really think that's going to work out for us.
It
right?
will be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's honestly.
This is kind of like the way you look at, especially the way the season ended. I don't think there's a person alive who's more satisfied the way this Blackhawks season ended than Kyle Davidson. Because like suddenly at the end of the year, all these fans who've been complaining and yapping all year, acting like we're not amongst them.
Yeah,
like
we are.
We've always been like we've been critical of KD, but we've always also stressed patience. Like look, we're still waiting for a lot in the wings, right? We've finally seen those pieces that we've been waiting for in the wings show up at the end of the year and perform. And it's like I think KD looks at that as like, see, I was telling you guys all along, you know. And I think just the fact that, you know, knowing that we're going to start next season like that and just the way that season ended, seeing the future come together, right? Like I think you could look at the same position, the standings, 31st, and, you know, come to conclusions there. But I think that's a short-term thing. Like I think the long-term outlook, I don't know how you can be a Blackhawks fan, look at the way the season ended and not see that the rebuild is trending in the right direction. Like there's still, I'm still surprised how many fans fail to see that. Like that kind of shocks me, to be honest. Like I'm not really sure how you can be so blind to that, but I think it's pretty clear to me. But there's still work to be done. Like we can't rest on our laurels, right? Like Kyle Davidson cannot afford to get it wrong in this offseason. You know, he's got to learn from his mistakes, and I think he will. Like I genuinely think he will. Maybe that was a 4D chess move, right? Where it's like, yeah, let's screw it up last offseason so we can be in the running for another top pick, get Bedsy's wingman, and then we can really start cooking, right? So,
well, I think the situation last year, like he did a bad job constructing the roster. That is true. We know it. We all saw it. This, you know, especially the first half of the season was absolutely dreadful. But he was in a completely different situation last year where you didn't have all these young kids at the pro level yet.
You didn't know if they were ready.
Whereas next year you have so much of the lineup are these kids who are just making their professional, you know, debuts this year. Going into next year, you have way less roster spots to fill because it's going to be these young kids. So he even talked about that. He's like, yeah, we're in a way different situation position now than we were this time last year. And so that's exciting for us too, because it's like finally we get a whole season watching these young kids and we don't have to wait half the year for them to start trickling in like we did this season.
He had to fill holes, right? He had to, you know, fill placeholder positions until like waiting for these guys to develop, right? And then come in, obviously, as the season went along, right? Yeah. And I think we saw that. So like we speculate, I said it right, like I said it before the season started, like, you know, because obviously I'm the prospect expert, right? Delusion. I thought guys like Frick Days are, you know, ready to start the year, but it's like you don't know that for sure, right? Like you go through that whole training camp process in the preseason, it's like, you know, I think you have a pretty good idea whether these guys are ready, right? So now it's like a lot of these guys have a lot of games under their belt, plenty to work with there. Like I don't think we need to go through training camp preseason to know whether next season to know if these guys are ready for the NHL, right? So I think it makes it easier to fill those voids in the offseason this year, right? Like you know what you have, you know what you don't have. I think his job has been made a lot easier based off of the end of this year, right?
Yeah. And like you don't have to worry about the right side of defense.
Yeah,
you know, it's like Rinzel and Levshinov are going to play in the NHL next year, and then you've got Connor Murphy and Crevier. You know, it's like you're fine. And honestly, same thing with the left. It's like especially if you don't end up trading like Kaiser, Del Mastro. It's like you've got Vlasic, you've got Kaiser, you got Del Mastro, you got Allen or Korchinski if they're going to be up and down throughout the, you know, so you've got options there defensively. I really, in my brain, I do not want, if he brings in a defenseman this summer, I'm going to be upset because it's like we just don't need it. No. And so yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to wrap up the Kyle Davidson.
I do want to bring up a funny stat, though. At the Western Michigan, the game they played, and I think to win the championship, like they dressed a defense that was older than some of the defenses we saw at the end of the year where Murphy was out, right? It's crazy. It was just kind of crazy. Like it is a young defense, so I understand the concern there, but it's like I think a lot of these guys prove that they're ready for the NHL. I think our defense actually looked. The guy that was probably making the most mistakes, funny enough, was the veteran who's been around the longest, is Connor Murphy. So I think that's kind of a funny right there. So no, play the youth, right? That's what it's all about. I think Davidson, you know, he said it without saying it because that's what he does, right? I think that's the way he's going to go next season. I think, we have a lot more to get into. That was like a 36-minute clip. So if you want to, watch all KD, tonight, grab some popcorn. You have 36 minutes of KD footage to sift through.
No, you don't even have to watch it now because we kind of just gave you
everything,
the
important
speed
stuff.
We just speed ran that, and that's going to probably be the interview we talk about the longest, just because it was the biggest and it's probably the most important. But next, let's go to it. Let's just
get the clips. Let's run through them.
Let's go to Bedsy first. Let's listen to this clip of Connor Bedard.
All right, you guys have to give me a second because there was absolutely so many clips that I can't pull them all up. So
okay, no worries.
Filibuster
This is
for like
basically
10
a clip
seconds.
show, right? Because like you said, we're interviewing all these guys right at the end of the year, recapping the season. I think this is the best place to start. You saw that the Hawks post the other day from Bedsy. Look at this. You probably can't see it. I love being here. Bedsy's shutting down the fake news media's narratives that he hates in Chicago. He's like, no, he loves it here, and you're going to get into it here. But I think just to hear from Bedsy and see his outlook on this past season and where he needs to improve, yada yada, just his outlook on the Hawks and where to go from here, extension talks. I think let's hear from that.
Give us a thumbs up when you have it, Raven.
We got it.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Come out pretty soon, and still kind of deciding on that. So we'll kind of see here in the next few days, obviously.
You'll be eligible for an extension on July 1st. Would you like to explore that this summer, or would you prefer to wait on that?
I guess no real preference for me. It's something I haven't really put too much thought to be honest, just with the season and you're playing and focusing on that. But I've said it 100 times. I love it here, and I have a great relationship with Kyle and everyone, and I don't even know what to expect with that. So obviously you have the conversation and stuff and see, but I'm not too worried about any of that. Like I said, great relationship, and I know that I want to be here for a long time. So I don't think that's something that I'm thinking about too much right now.
Does it trouble you that narrative has been out there that people speculating whether you want to continue being a Blackhawk because of the the troubles this franchise has had?
No, I think unless you're in the room and around all of us, I think I'm a pretty mild-mannered guy, and if I look a little sad on the bench or something, maybe people can take it out of context. But I've said it so many times that I love being here, and the city, the people. Even before I got drafted, I was embraced like one of their own. So it's a special sports town, and we got a lot of great players coming up, great people, and I think anything.
Maybe comfortable, but I think that's the best clip, man. I think that's exactly what you want to hear. Saying all the right things, right? We knew this. I think we've known this for a while. If you're actually watching the Hawks on a religious basis and not just Twitter, I think we've known for a while that Bedsy's happy here, and look at the Instagram post too. Like look at that, saying that's his home and all that. So. I think you could see he loves the guys in the room. A lot of guys in the room, in the same positions as he is, right? A lot of young guys in this team. I think I was laughing a lot listening to this clip because I think by the time you listen to this, perhaps there'll be a clip out there that me and Lee worked on the other day. I think a satire clip of Bedsy and the average interview this season with the media. I think that's gonna be pretty funny. I'm looking forward to y'all seeing that.
We did it.
Won't tease that too much, but I'm pretty excited for y'all to see that.
We did a funny remake of basically that exact presser that we'll be posting later today, and I think you guys are gonna enjoy it. But as far as his actual answers go in the entire interview, all 11 minutes, it was he said all the right things. As a Blackhawks fan, as a Bedard fan, it was everything I wanted to hear from
You sound like Bedard,
dude.
there.
If you guys chat said the same thing, that
yes.
wait till Ryan Donato was way worse. Ryan Donato said literally every three.
It was so hard to
three
clip.
Words.
Yeah. Hockey interviews are the same, man. It's just I even sound like one right now because I played, so clearly I talk the same way. I know this show, but it's just so stereotypical, and it's funny though. But I think just there's a lot to sift through. That's just one clip, but one thing Bedsy referenced that wasn't in that clip. The number one thing he has to work on this offseason. He's aware. He's a self-aware man. He's smarter than people give credit for. His hockey IQ's there. His speed. I keep brought it up. If he could just find an extra step, he's never going to have that McDavid-McKinnon speed. But if he could find an extra step, that's going to help out a lot to improve on his game. So I think that's fantastic to hear from him. That's what you want to hear from him. And then another point too. It's I never really, like, we've talked about this a little bit on the show, but like in regards to an extension, right? I always just kind of assumed this was a next summer thing, and it might still be, right? He kind of like, you didn't really answer that one because I think from his perspective, I were kind of Bedard.
Yeah,
I would want to sign an extension next summer for the deal, but maybe not. Maybe that happens this summer. And it's like, if that were to happen this summer, July 1st, whenever, that would be great for the Hawks. That would be a steal of a deal based off of, the first 2 seasons here. I think, for him, wait till next year for the breakout year. Might not be for the max term, right? Because he wouldn't want that to cut into too much of his prime years, right? So I wouldn't worry too much about that if it was an 8-year deal. I think that's just him looking for the best deal down the road. But I still think it's going to be a summer thing. But I just think the fact that that's a possibility and that the fact that, like, it's guaranteed to happen is, he's thinking about it. So that's what you want to hear, right? Just to know that that's in the agenda and that he sees his future here long term, and just shutting that down, right? Like, I don't want to hear about it anymore. Like, you're still going to get those comments from, delusional, bright-minded people on the internet. There are other names I wish I could use to describe those people,
Maybe
but I don't want to get
from-
canceled. So
Maybe hailing from a Canadian city on the West Coast.
yeah,
I don't know.
all those Vancouver, people there, the very mature fan base over there that definitely has never burned down their city after losing the playoffs and has 0 cups to show for it. So, and a locker room over there, an environment that people want to leave because it's just such a drama queen, Regina George, Mean Girls vibe over there. If the JT Miller, Elias Pettersson bullshit drama all season. But apparently that's where Bedard and Celebrini want to go, right?
We got a Regina George reference on CHR before GTA 6. That's nasty
insane,
work.
man. Yeah, we got B-Hawks doing a Bedard impression before GTA 6. If you know, you know. You'll see it later, perchance.
Yeah.
But yeah, like overall, just in general, right? Not to. I know I'm talking a lot. I think I'm rambling a bit, but overall, I think just with Bedsy, like you said, everything you want to hear, you heard it. And just to have that validation that he's happy here and sees this as his home. Chicago is his home. He's bought into the rebuild. He gets it. He talked about in the system, the guys coming in, the speed, the identity of this Blackhawks team. Like, he gets it, man. He doesn't need to be explained to him. He knows what he has to do, and he's going to go out there and do it.
Yeah, not to echo everything, so I'm just not going to. But one thing I will say is with the contract thing, I thought there's no way, why would he do it this summer? Like, it makes so much sense. If the Hawks and him get a deal done this summer, oh my God, it would be massive. Because it's not going to be a crazy number. And even if it is a crazy, it's not. It's just not. It just won't be.
Dude, I was joking about the 8x9.8. It could happen. Maybe he does the Crosby strat, right? It's not like he's not making a ton of money, man, for all these sponsorships and stuff and endorsements. And he's a loyal guy, right? Like, it wouldn't shock me if he took a bit of a cut, because we're going to be working a lot of these guys, but the cap's also be going up too. So we'll see what happens there, right? It's a lot of spec, but just the fact that that's even on the table, I think is great for the Hawks. If he can make that happen, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and then I think a common theme for all the young players in these interviews was they were kind of all talking about what they need to improve on individually, and that's a really good sign because that's the most important thing next year is coming into camp at the beginning of the year, be better than you are now. Don't let the excitement of joining the league be what ended the season well for the Blackhawks.
Exactly.
Work on everything that you've done and be better for next year.
Another thing for that Betsy, it wasn't in the clip, but it's not confirmed, but it sounds like he's pretty open to playing the World Championships again for Canada, which if I were him, that's a no-brainer. Do that. Obviously didn't get a chance to play in the Four Nations this year in the Olympics or next year. If I were him, I'd want to be playing that extra hockey, get those reps in, right? So we'll see about that. If we hear about that soon. I think if Bedard's in the World Championships, that'll determine how much World Championships hockey I'll be watching this summer as the playoffs are going on and all that. I mean, it might be chapped in the U.S. I know Alex Vlasic's going to play again for the U.S. That's the only Hawk that's been confirmed, although Sorensen's going to be coaching for Sweden, so there's another one there. But we'll see what happens there. But I think for Bedsy, that'd be a nice way to begin the offseason. But if he wants a little bit of a break, I couldn't blame him for that.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, next up, I don't know. Who do you want to hear from next?
I've got Knight and Sorensen pulled up right now.
Okay, well let's start with Spencer Knight, just because we don't have to talk too much about it, but
it's funny.
It's a really good clip.
Comic relief in a serious day. So let's hear from Knight.
Did you ever get settled off the ice? I mean, I know you got integrated with the team right away, but as far as living, finding place, navigating your way through the city, did that come, or is that kind of be this off season more?
So right when I got here, I started looking at places to live. Frankly, it wasn't even for the sake of finding a place. I was in the hotel the whole end of the year, but it was something that I just was like, okay, the more places I see, the more I'll kind of understand what I like, what I don't like, because living in a city is different than living in, say, a suburb where it's, okay, guys live in this one suburb, it's 10 minutes to the rink, all right, which house do you like? There's townhomes, there's condos, there's duplex downs, there's single family homes, there's high-rise apartments. There's a train next to one apartment. I don't like that. That's weird. I don't know why they're above ground and like so loud all the time. So I don't like that. Like I don't want to live in a place that has super loud like that. Okay, this street's loud. This street's not. This street's a one-way. There's someone above me here. The floors are thin. Like there's so many little things that go into living in a city that seem, actually, you don't think of when you're just like in Florida when you're in a house and you're just like, I have my house and this is my spot. The only thing bothering me might be the lizards in Florida in my backyard. That's
It's so good.
That guy's he's a beauty, man. I love him.
It's a breath of fresh air because he's a guy that when I hear him talk, he thinks about what he's gonna say before he says anything.
Not a lot of people do that.
He doesn't, especially in with hockey. Literally the thing. You're just kind of rambling to talk or answer the question.
You're just filling time, right?
As quick as
Something to say
possible.
there. Yeah.
Whereas, even not obviously that was the funniest clip. Just talking about getting settled.
Welcome
in
to Chicago,
the
buddy. That's
apartment
how the
thing.
trains work here.
Yeah.
It's funny being here too because you get a lot of the same effect with the L over there. It's like you kind of hear the train in the background sometimes in the Wrigley area. So Spencer Knight, I wish him the best of luck. Hopefully it's not like that scene in the Blues Brothers where he has this tiny apartment, Harry Potter sized apartment, and he just has the train all night and he can't sleep. So best of luck there. I love how this guy gives a more in-depth answer about where he's going to live in Chicago and some of these guys do in their games. Like Spencer Knight just seems super tapped into whatever it is, just a super intelligent guy in the know, and I think a good guy for this team, even the players to kind of feed off of. Just he knows the game really well. That clip has nothing to do with hockey, but I guess it was just funny. But every time he's interviewed, he just seems to have an idea. He seems to get it, right? I think that's what you want out of your goaltender. Oftentimes the goalies are often the most intelligent in the team. He feels like one of them. So
he's like the old wise shaman on this team, and he's 23.
I know,
years
if he
old.
sounds so much older than he is, right? I mean, compared to a lot of the guys on this team, he is kind of old. But in goalie terms, he's about the same age as a lot of these guys coming in. So no, I think he's our guy. Like we've talked about this, right? I think we have full confidence in him. So I think in terms of getting him sold to Chicago, I'd give him whatever he wants. I think that should be on the table there. So I want my Knight to be happy.
And besides that clip, he talked about the youth and just kind of what it's like coming into the league and how he thinks it's important for these young players to get a taste of the league, dip their toes in, and understand how difficult of a league it is. Because he just mentioned how that respect for the game and the league is so important moving forward, as far as development and getting better, because what you can and can't do, versus other leagues that you've played in, whether it be juniors or NCAA or USHL, etc. So yeah, just and even Alex Vlasic brought up Spencer Knight as a big addition to the locker room.
Foligno did too, as a leader in the room.
Yeah.
Which you don't see that very often at goalies. I'm not saying he's being the next Blackhawks captain, but clearly he's a guy in the room who's the guy that people look to in terms of leadership. And
it makes sense just from what he's the way he sounds in this interview. Obviously, he was he had a couple seasons behind Bobrovsky and watched a team win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So he's got that legit experience, but he just seems well beyond his years as far as his intelligence, and
he just seems to understand the process.
Yeah. Absolutely.
For sure.
It's so pumped for the future of Spencer Knight. I love him. I love his personality. I think he's hilarious and super interesting, and I can't wait to be listening to Spencer Knight interviews for the next 10 years.
Anytime I see his name in the clips, it's that's an immediate clip farm, because I know we're going to get something good out of that. So also thank him too for making our job more fun there. I think it's nice to have that confidence in the goaltending. That's just one area where it's we're good now. I think there's a question mark before, and it's no longer a question mark. It's one less thing for KD to worry about, and it's so poetic that he freed us from the terror of Seth and brought in a franchise going in the process. So anyway, I think it's a good way to close out the Knight part.
Yep.
Let's get to potentially the last ever Anders Sorensen clip here.
Where you're trying to right the ship for the guys, but you're also navigating life as an NHL head coach for the first time too.
Yeah, but challenges are good, right? So I think, it was a challenge, but I think it was good, and we got through it, and because of it, we're going to be better in the long run, yeah.
The way the season closed and the way some of these young guys produce right away, is that your pitch for this job full time? Look what we were doing at the end of the year, look what I could do with these young guys? Is that kind of your angle?
Well, I think it helped everybody, right? I think it's always nicer to win at the end of the year. I think the body of work is bigger than that, though, right? I think there was good stretches throughout the year. There were some bad stretches throughout the year, and there was different reasons for that. And I think there's a lot of undercurrent that people don't know about that goes behind that nobody's going to talk about. But there's always different reasons, right? I don't think it comes down to one person or one player or it's a group thing, right? But yeah, it was nice to see those guys come in and do that, and it was definitely encouraging for sure.
What do you think that undercurrent is that he was referencing there? I think that was a very interesting point. That's why I wanted to clip that. There might be some vets in the room who maybe are a little salty that their jobs are being taken by real Blackhawks that we referenced on the show, right? This turnover from an old roster to a young roster at the end of the year. I think maybe we brought this up before. The Hawks had one of the oldest teams in the league to start the year, one of the youngest to end it. And I can understand some people maybe not taking it that well. And obviously some people moved on. He said, it might not be one person. I think, maybe that's Seth Jones' distractions, maybe a bit of an issue to deal with. Not just him. I don't know.
I mean, we're going to get into the Jason Dickinson one, but
Yeah,
that's another guy. I mean, that's kind of the vibe I got from him too. So I don't think it's just Seth Jones. I think that was probably the sentiment for a few of those old veterans, but I don't know what you could have expected. Like,
rebuilding team. Like,
why
what do
did
you
you
think
sign
is
the
gonna
contract?
happen?
What did you think they were gonna? Did you think they were gonna build around Jason Dickinson? Did you think that the team was gonna rebuild on the fly around you to be a third? Like, what'd you expect when you signed the contract?
Yeah, and he's been on the sidelines the last couple months too. We have a Dickinson clip in here. I think
we won't. Let's not move to that just yet.
Okay,
but yes, I just mean like as far as that sentiment in general from veterans. It's like what did you expect with this team?
Like some people seem to get it. Like I think Foligno gets, he understands his role. We'll get to him later. I think he has a nice clip there. But yeah, I mean, some like understand him. He might not really get in the process, but it's like, I don't know, dude. Like why'd you come here? I think the direction of this team seemed pretty clear and pretty obvious to me with where we're at. So like this was always going to happen like then this season. Like especially when you bring in a guy who was really the Hogs coach to replace a veteran guy like Luke Richardson. Like it's pretty obvious that's what KD was going for the second half of the year. So like, I don't really know why you're shocked by that. Competition goes both ways. It's not just amongst vets. It's amongst the youth of this team. So everybody's going to get their chances. It's up to them to decide who takes it and runs with it. So I think the youth I think we performed a lot better with the youth. So it's like if you're a veteran, it's like, you better figure it out now or else your job's going to get taken. So I think pressure's good for everybody, right?
If you were a school teacher and you were grading Anders Sorensen's performance this season as the Chicago Blackhawks interim coach, what grade would you give him and
That's
why?
tough. Like,
I want to also throw in to this conversation that you have to kind of base it off of Richardson as well.
Yes,
of course.
We can grade both.
That is
yes.
going to be a huge part of how this goes.
Yeah.
I think. Look, I mean, Sorensen. We've had our complaints of Sorensen, right? He's not an NHL head coach. But I do think the Sox team did look better under him. I think a lot of it may have had more to do with the roster decisions than anything, but I do think he had a big part to play in that. The fact that he's, coached a lot of these guys before coming up the ranks, right? So KD felt that confidence to call up a lot of these guys when he was instilled. So the record wasn't that much different, maybe slightly better than Richardson. But like we talked about when he was hired, like we don't really care about the win-losses. The season's already over when Richardson was fired. Like we were dead last in the NHL, right? Finished 31st. Like it's not about wins and losses with him. It's about development. I think it took a little while, and I didn't agree with everything he did. And like I think the way he handled the guy, Lucas Reichel, wasn't that much different than Sorensen. Like there were some things to this team that weren't that much different, but I do think we saw more offense. The defensemen were able to get involved in the play, right? The rush, like that was a positive development. I think a lot of times with Richardson, like we've been down this road, right? It was a lot of dump and chase, like just a style of play, low scoring hockey. You're trying to play this defensive structure. Like that's not the way a rebuilding team should be playing. But like it also wasn't the way that roster was designed to start the year, right? So because it was an older team. So I think this younger team, I think Sorensen did about as good as could be expected. I think he was put in a tough spot. I'll give him credit there. He was put in a very tough spot. He had no time to really instill his systems. Like he had to do it on the fly, right? No offseason to work with for anything. He's just thrown into a team mid-season, not even December, right? Leading up to the Winter Classic, biggest game of the year. Like he was put in a tough spot. I think all things considered, he did probably as good as he could have done. I'm not going to give him a good grade because, he's just not really built for this level. I think he is in another position up here. Like maybe it can be like I said, like a secondary, position, like development, whatever. Like that's what he does. He's a dev guy. He's not a head coach. So I think somewhere in the C range. Like I'm not going to fail him. I think he did better than Richardson. Richardson is obviously he got fired, so I don't think you can give him better than an F. But Sorensen, I give him something in the C range. We'll put it exactly a C. Like I'm not going to fail him. I think he did a respectable job. I don't think he's I hope that Davidson was joking. Like he didn't do a good enough job. He didn't assert himself enough as interim to be our guy. He's not the guy here for me, but he could be a guy either here or elsewhere. So, C grade for Mr. Sorensen. Yeah.
I think that's fair, given the situation he came into, his lack of experience, the way the team finished the season. Yeah. Although I think, the way the team finished the season is obviously, you'd say more probably
credit to David Davidson than Sorensen.
Beyond that.
But to the players, to the youth in the room. Yeah, it wasn't like Sorensen was getting this out of. He may have played a part, but I think Connor Bedard is Connor Bedard. Frank Nazar is
Frank Nazar,
right?
locking in, giving those last couple performances. It's like, well, that's not really, you're not going to say that's the coach. That's a player that's really, really talented, that's starting to understand the league a bit. That's what I see there. But thank you, Anders Sorensen, for a year or less than that of fun and whimsical interviews where you don't necessarily always answer the questions. We appreciate you. And I don't know, I could see him being like a film coach or something. Like,
that's great,
these young players like him. And I think I heard a couple of them say like he was really good with like the film stuff. So I think that's a position that
video
he could
guy,
fill.
right? Yeah, the Hawks have never had any issues there. But I think as a video guy, right, that's probably where Sorensen would fit in the best, right? I think that would give him the skills to kind of bring out the development out of these guys and show a lot of these guys where they need to improve, and that stuff like that with speed and breakouts and just positional play, right? Things like that. I think Sorensen can be useful, an asset, right?
The most important thing about Anders Sorensen and like him staying here is the fact that all these young players seem to like him, have a good relationship with him, and they've all said that he's helped them. So like that's good enough. That's good enough for me as far as Anders Sorensen.
Yeah, no, I mean, if the players like him, if the group likes him, then he can stay on as in another role, just not head coach. David Carl.
All right. Next clip here. Let's pull up Frank Nazar. This kid is
swagger,
dude. I love his personality.
Aura.
I think he's so entertaining. Another guy like Spencer Knight that I cannot wait to listen to this dude talk to the media for the next decade.
He's a
plus.
rock star, man. I've said this before. He just has it. He has that it factor. He gets it. He's a pro. Like he's gonna be a stud in this league, right? I think it took a little bit, but I think we saw at the end of the season. Like we saw the evidence right there. Like we've been talking about for a while on the show. It was very gratifying to see him end the season the way he did. I think just to carry the momentum in the offseason, start next year the way he ended it. He's a guy who could have an insane year. He's going to be a top part of this core. So let's see what he has to say about confidence.
Where has that confidence come from you? Dickinson was mentioning that all these young guys now come into the NHL with confidence, but where do you get that from at such a young age?
Honestly, I think it's just from hard work and practice. It's like, I think a lot of it for me is like going out on the ice for practice and, working on things there. And when you're able to do it there and feel good, it's like, it gives you the confidence to be like, okay, like in a game, if I get this touch, then I know how it feels because I've already done it. So I think that was a huge part for me, is just working on it, when we're not playing. And then once we get on the ice, just feeling comfortable in positions where I get touches that I worked on.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's why we've been so happy with this youth movement to end the year, is like all these guys getting to do that, where it's like,
getting the reps up here, right?
Yeah, and it's development through error sometimes. Like it's okay to make mistakes because that's what you're going to learn from. And I think we've seen it literally unfold before our eyes. This Frank Nazar season in general, like the way he came in, we were really high on him when he, his first 10 games with the Blackhawks. Even though the production wasn't there,
you could see it.
We were like, oh, okay,
you could tell it was going to come eventually.
Yeah, we see it, and then as the season went on, it was like, oh man, like the finishing thing. And then it's like he started to finish, and
it took him a while to finish, right? Which is different from me, but no, I think it was impressive to see. We knew it was going to come together there, right? So I've been screaming for this guy to be on this Hawks team for a while, right? It took a little longer than expected, but I think when he came to this team, he inserted himself, especially at the end of the years there. So I think that honestly might be the biggest story of this season. This might be, when we look back on it, like Frank Nazar's development might be the thing we look back on. Like that was the the best part, the most important, crucial development from the 24-25 Blackhawks. Like, this is a guy, he's not going to be like a 3 or 4. Like, he's going to be probably a 2. Like, I think he's that good. Like, he's a star in this league, a stud, a potential compliment to Bedsy. So, he has that confidence too. I think it reverberates on a lot of the other guys in the room, right? That's what you want to see. Not every young player has it, right? I think we're seeing that. It's been more common. Like, a lot of these Hawks guys, it's not just Nazar, like the Moores and the Rinzels. Like, they just seem to have that swagger to them. That's what you want to see, right? And again, I think just getting better, it comes to reps. It comes to that repetition. I think with Nazar, right, like just the fact that he generates those looks, generates those chances every game, right? Eventually, you're going to learn. Eventually, you're going to be able to finish. And we saw it at the end of the year. So, I think just keep doing what you're doing. Yeah.
I think he's going to be a guy with a letter.
He does seem like a leader. Yeah.
He does, and that was my favorite part about the interview. They asked him about it, and he was like, yeah, I mean, I hope so. Like, it's something that he cares about and wants to do. And he talked about how he feels like his leadership style is not through like, yelling at guys and saying
lead
stuff pre-game, but leading by example.
Yeah.
And he's like, he literally was like, I try to be, an absolute dog every time I'm out there. And we see it. Like, we literally see him do it night in and night out, putting in that consistent effort. And so, when I hear a guy like that with all the potential I know he has to also be like, I want to be a leader and I want to lead by example through hard work. And it's like, that's how you win Stanley Cups is your best players are also the hardest working. And I think that's what we have with Connor Bedard and Frank Nazar.
Yeah, I think whether it's, Bedsy or Nazar with the A or C, I think both those guys are going to have letters. I think if I had to pick one, I'd say Vlasic's probably going to have the other letter. It's probably going to be those 3. I think that's kind of your leadership 3 right there. If I had to bet on it today, I think it's going to be those 3. And it might not be Bedsy at the C. I don't know. Like, I think it's still probably going to be him. I think the letters are more symbolical than anything, honestly. Like, I think it doesn't take a letter to be a leader in the room, right? Like, I had the C and the A back in the day, and they I was picked. So not to flex
I'm sitting next to a leader of men right now.
I was like a Nick Foligno guy. Like, I wasn't the best player in the team, but like I was a good leader, right? Like, I wasn't really a talker. Like I think Nazar, Bedsy, like they're not really talkers. It's lead by example. Like, show it, right? Be the first guy on, be the last guy off, right? Just show what it means. Like, I think players are going to see that. They're going to copy it, right? Like a toddler copying their parents, right? Like, they'll copy a guy like Nazar and Bedsy, learn from the best, right? And be able to emulate that in their game. So, no, not enough good things to say about Frank Nazar.
Yeah. Absolutely. And what better 2 kids to have, I don't know, man. There's all the talent in the world, but then everybody just raves about how hard they work.
Sorry, one more point on Bedsy and
Go
Nazar. Like, I really want to see this league start to, because obviously the NHL, and I love it. Like, I love the Bedard glazing, but I want to see some Frank Nazar glazing. Like, I think all season, like we talk about duos in the NHL, young duos, right? I want to see some of the same energy we've seen now, that Celebrini-Smith connection. I want to start seeing that with Bedsy and Nazar, because I think we have something here like that honestly tops and trumps that. I'm being biased, of course, because we all have biases, right? We could pretend to not be. We all have our biases. I think those 2 deserve a little more love there from the IRMs.
I mean, we're definitely doing our part. I think we've been Chicago.
Not Bedsy and Nazar. You know what I mean?
That's right. I think we've been Chicago glazing Nazar radio this entire. Like, I feel like we were the first one, even before he was producing. Like, even Tassos was like, this kid's gonna be a star.
Yeah, we said he was the best player on the team. He was like, grinding out. It's like, it's not always the production. It's like, but who's looked the best. And not only at the end of the season, he didn't just look the best. He produced the best too. So I think he has all the workings to have an absolute explosion next year. But yeah, I brought up Donato there. I think the transition to Ryan Donato here, we'll get into this clip here, but he definitely, this is a guy who's been speculating a lot in the show. I know I have. Like, I've been a little bit, worrisome about, if his future's here or not. He seems pretty, intent that he wants to stick around here, right? That, he loves in Chicago and, wants to extend, but obviously it hasn't happened yet for a reason. I think, we'll get into the clip here, but let's hear from Ryan Donato. Yeah.
To stay on, I'm guessing, and have you guys talked at all?
Yeah, no, we've talked, and I've voiced plenty of times, how much I love being here and want to be a part of the future here. And, it's something, I got to work on my own game and, help the team, but also, helping the young guys. And there's a lot of exciting opportunity here. And, it's definitely something that I've voiced that I want to be a part of.
Well, what's important to you as you try to work through the next contract? Is it just kind of finding a stable home down the road for you?
Yeah, we've been in a position where we've been a little bit in different places now. And, it's definitely nice, the idea of, being in a place for more than, 2 years. And, it's definitely finding some sort of stability. And, I just feel, super blessed and thankful for that. And, hopefully things go well. We can get in a spot where that can maybe happen.
Did talks get real close before the trade deadline? Like, what was that process?
Yeah, no, it was definitely they got close, but it's a business at the same time. There was definitely a lot of moving pieces, as you guys know. It's crazy, it's super hectic, and it's not just me that they're dealing with. There's so many different things that they're going on, and there was definitely times where it got close, and then unfortunately we never got to a deal, but it was definitely very beneficial to kind of see that side of the business, and it was nice that they obviously felt good enough to want me here still, and like I said, my mindset hasn't changed in that front, and it's definitely been amazing to see that process and go through it, not as stressful as it.
Was it 18? Was it 18?
I think that's start counting right. I think it was at least 20. At least 20,
Oh my gosh! In less than 2 minutes. I've become a Ryan Donato fan. I want this deal to get signed, even though I know some people maybe disagree with that. I'd be fine with a 3-year, $4.5 million contract. I think this is a guy who's like, I just think about he's got a wife and a newborn kid, and
he's just settling in here, right?
He's been on the move throughout his entire career and never playing the same place for more than 2 seasons. And I just I love to see guys like that win. And he's
an underdog story, right? He's a wholesome story. One of the few stories in the season, outside the youth movement, that was nice to see, right? One of the few vets who stepped up. Not only was he, about the same, he stepped up this year. He had a true breakout season, right? 31 goals, 31 assists. It was a late breakout, but probably double his production from any season. But from the human aspect, you get it, man. I would hate to be a player in this league, a suitcase all the time, like a Taylor Hall post Oilers. That guy's always in the move. I'm sure it sucks from that standpoint. So for Donato, right? You just brought up all the personal stuff, right? He's winning right now, man. That guy's winning in life right now. Let's keep that rolling. Let's make it here. The fact that they've been offered the 3x4 and hasn't happened yet, that tells you from Ryan Donato in terms there that the 3 years isn't enough and the $4 million isn't enough. So I think he probably wants, honestly, though, it might not be the number. It might be the years that's more important than Donato based on that clip there. I'm sure he's still going to want his due there, and based off of this season, he's probably going to want, I'm not going to speculate, but I will speculate, probably around $5 million. I don't know if 4 is going to really do it for him, and he probably wants a 4 or 5 year deal. I'm just guessing. I have nothing to go off of there, but I think for a guy like that, he's not interested in a short term kind of what we brought up 2-3 year, $4 million. That's not going to do it for him. I think he wants to be here for a while. And that's a guy who loves it here. He clearly enjoys being a Blackhawk, and seems like one of the vets, like Bedsy talks about him a lot, as a guy who inspires him. And for the room, I think he's good for the guys. So even if he's not putting up 60+ points every season, which I don't think he will be, if he could still, he's a guy that could still impact the game outside the score sheet. So if he's still putting up, around 40 points for the next 4 years,
I'm okay with that.
For
That's
a middle
fine.
6 guy, that's not terrible. PK, power play,
especially since look, the production's obviously going to dip because he's not going to be playing on the first line.
Yeah.
If we sign him to 3 years, he's not even going to be playing on the first line all of next year, let alone 2-3 years from now. But I'm okay with paying a good contributing third line player $4 million if he's going to work his ass off and do all the little things. And I think that's what Ryan Donato does. He also talked about in the interview just how his off-season regimen changed a lot this past year, and how it was so much
pretty well.
it was so much more focused on his individual game, and how he wants to get back to that this off-season, but put even a little more into it. And so it's now every time I say it,
thing now,
it's
man.
like a habit, because I know I say it a lot, because I'm not the most articulate person ever. Good idea to start a podcast, but now I'm thinking about it all the time. I know it's not.
It's a hockey thing, man. People, it's funny. Nobody's gonna give you shit for it.
It's
they probably
filler
words.
words.
Yeah, exactly.
Chicago filler word radio. But yeah, dude, I just want the deal to get signed. If it's over, if it's well over 4.5, I'm a little more hesitant.
Yeah.
But I want to keep this guy. I want to root for
Don't
Ryan
lose him for
Donato.
nothing, man. You didn't trade him. Okay, then make a part of his future, man. I don't want to lose him for nothing. That's worse asset matchup than maybe a contract where you're slightly overpaying.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
one
agree.
or 2 more years, right? The cap's going up. It's not going to be an issue. I think we're probably stressed over this 4 or 5 million thing a little too much here. We have guys in this team, veterans like Jason Dickinson, who are making probably more than they deserve. So
if this team runs into issues with the cap, it's not going to be in 2-3 years. I'm sorry, all these kids coming off their ELCs, yes, you have to pay all of them, but none of those contracts are going to be massive. Especially with the cap going up, you're going to be able to pay all these young kids on their first contracts. the issue is going to be like when those
down
expire.
the line. Yeah.
When you're
that's
like
when
winning.
they get their true bags,
Yes,
right? Like a lot of these guys are going to get those bridge deals, right? So,
Yeah. So, and even like, I don't know, Donato didn't even acknowledge because they asked him, they were like, oh, does that like 30 goal threshold like move the needle for you, like contracts? And he didn't even acknowledge that. He was just like talking about how happy he was to like get there because he feels like he's put in the hard work to like finally get to that point in his career. Whereas Kyle Davidson was like, well, yeah, obviously he's going to make more. He's going to be making more than last year.
The agent's not going to bring that up. I mean, there's a reason that hasn't been extended yet. I'm sure they're looking at all the angles there. And then Katie's team's probably bringing up the PDO, right? And why no GM was like, oh, they were obviously people were probably looking at them, but nobody was giving them what they wanted. So there's a reason for it, right? So no, but I'm sure it'll work out in the long run, right? I'm pretty, relatively confident in that. So just get it done. Just get it done. Whether it's tomorrow or July 1st. Just
and I have a feeling. it's more about term for him than
it sounds like it. Like I thought it was more about money, but it does sound like it's more about term at this point. So fair enough. I guess it's probably a good thing for us. Probably. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Moving down the list here, we got to keep this rolling.
This is a good one.
Yeah. Let's listen to the captain, Nick Foligno, if we have it ready.
2 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever, you're going to hand the captaincy to somebody. Do you see leaders emerging out of this?
They're going to have to rip it off. No, I'm just kidding.
48-year-old.
A cane. You're not taking it.
Do you see a leadership group forming out of this kind of next generation now?
I do. And I actually had that conversation with those guys. I'm like, that's the beautiful thing. And, maybe it's hard because I've been on different sides of it, right? I've been the guy that's been able to build a culture with a group in Columbus. I came into a really good culture in Boston, so I've seen how pieces come together. And when you're that young group, and that was the challenge I kind of said to these guys, I'm like, you have an opportunity here to be part of what turns this entire franchise around. And I said, that's really exciting that you guys can all grow together and find your own leadership roles within that, and have people there to mentor you along as you go, but learn but do it together, right? Like find your voice or your way you're going to impact the game. And I'm watching guys do that, and it's pretty neat. I mean, it's cool because I think you are going to kick yourself one day if you look back and say, I was part of that core, but I didn't want to commit myself to it enough. And look at those guys now when they're raising the cup in 5, 6, 7 years. Hopefully it's next year. But that's the cool part of sports, and like when you have an opportunity to really build it from the ground up. And these guys, I think, have realized that, and I hope they take it to heart this summer and like come in with that attitude, a little bit of swagger, like this is their team, As much as I'm the cap, like this is their team, and I know that, and I think it's exciting for me to hand it off to whoever. And know it's going to be in great hands, and there's enough guys in that room that can do it. And, you see it out of them. Now you got to pull it out of them, and they have to realize it, but it's all part of maturing. And I think you saw that.
We are not going to forget about Nick Foligno in a few years' time.
He
when we're
planted the
winning.
seeds that I'll probably never see. But no, he's done his job, right? Especially off the ice. Even on the ice, he's done a decent job, but it's for production, considering his age. But I think big picture wise, he gets it. Like he understands his role as a C. Like he understands he's a placeholder guy, and he's probably not going to be here when winning unless it is next year, which I do think next year has a seeds to be a better year than we expect. But we have plenty of time, I think, to get to that. But no, for Fliggy, right? He gets it. I think just the fact that he sees that in the room, he sees the next Foligno there, right? He sees a lot of guys in the room. I think we brought up a few of them before, right? That could take that C. That's a good sign for this team. It shows that he's doing his job, that he's reverberating off the youth, right? So no, I can't say enough good things about Foligno. It just seems to get the long-term process. And I love what he said, right? Like that's what was so exciting about the end of the season. Like we did start to see that happen, right? With this youth coming together and building this thing from the ground up. Like we've been here before. This Hawks team has done it before. This is not a first time thing, right? This would be like watching or maybe before Kane Tays, like 05, 06, 06, 07, with guys like Keith Seabrook and Sharp coming in, and then you bring in the Kane and Tays. Like the timeline's different this time around, but it's the same type of idea. Building through the draft, guys come in over time, and it just builds on each other. So Katie's plan, it's took a little while, but it's starting to come together here, and I think just Foligno's the guy gets it. I think it's nice to hear that.
It's about Foligno's perspective, because like he talked in the interview about how like he saw it. He was a part of it on the Columbus team. Yeah. Like he was one of the young guys who kind of built that culture there, and and grew up with some of the other guys on the team, and just him letting these young Blackhawks know like how enjoyable and how exciting of a process that is. It's like that's so because that's like what I want to shake
had that
these
experience,
guys.
right?
Like
Yeah.
I want to shake these guys and be like, whenever there's been any doubt this season, it's like, dude, like you guys are all gonna get to like come into this league together, learn together, and then win together. And it's gonna be your boys that you've done it with since day one. Like that's gonna be so cool. And I can only imagine how fun that would be as a guy in the room. And so for Foligno to be there and be like, no, I've done this. And like, I've seen good cultures at Boston too. Like, perfect guy to have mentoring these young players. With kids himself, he's just like the dad of the group. And yeah, I don't think we're gonna forget about the work that Nick Foligno and Pat Maroon did on this young Blackhawks team, mentoring these young players. I think it's gonna go a long way.
This is your time. Their time is done. It's over. I love that from Foligno, right? Just motivational. And I think these young guys get it. Like, I think the Bedsies, the Nazars, the Vlasics, I think they understand that, which is good, right? Sometimes they don't, some teams might not have that self-awareness. I think Foligno's been a big part of building the culture here, right? That understanding, right? I think that's the fun thing about next season, where it's like, that's where it really starts ascending here. And it's like, I think that's going to be a hell of a process to witness.
I do got to cut in here. We got to play this last clip before we go to break because we are pushing the clock.
All right, well, let's hear from our last clip.
The Mr. Pessimist.
Mr. Pessimist, Jason Dickinson.
You guys finished in the standings the same place as last year, but with that youth, does it feel different at this time of year than it did a season ago?
No. Finishing in this position never feels good, never feels better any year, because the result is the same. It doesn't matter what players you put on the ice year after year. If you're getting that same result, it doesn't matter. Do I feel like there is hope? Maybe, but camp can roll around, and all the guys that came in, they played with a ton of adrenaline. They played with a ton of excitement. Maybe that kind of dissipates a little bit, and we're not moving as far forward as I might think we would in camp, just based on what I saw at the end of this season. You'd think that will happen, but it's not necessarily the truth. But there are good players. I never got to see Renzel play before. I never got to see Moore play before. I didn't get to see all that. So having an eye for it now, I get a sense of who the players are and what they're going to bring to the group, and that gives me a little bit more direction as to where things are heading.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, not the worst bits of it there, because he does acknowledge that there's really
To be
talented
fair,
players.
he
coming
was
in.
on the sidelines as a lot of this youth movement was happening. So,
Yeah.
right, he maybe wasn't quite in it as much as guys like Fliggy.
But he was asked about like his future and like next season, what his role is on the team, and that's kind of where he was like, well, like I for me, like I want to be the third center, the shutdown guy. You put me up against all the tough matchups, what I've done my whole career basically. Like that's what I want to be doing. But with these young teams, you never know. Like they normally try to like trade people in my position. Was like basically what he said. And so I was just thinking to myself, like, damn, like. Well, first of all, I don't even know if like that's I don't know if Jason Dickinson's gonna be traded because of the contract. Like I don't know what
pay $4.5 million for a fourth line center.
I don't know. Like I don't know what his role's gonna be next year, to be honest with you. But I also don't know if he's gonna get moved.
Yeah, like I've been doing the same thing where I've been making rosters, and it's like, where the heck does Dickinson like fill in? And honestly, I hate to say it, I hate to be a dick here, but like. I think this team kind of looked a lot better when he was out at the end of the season. I hate to say that. I hate to be an ass, but bottom line is Dickinson, compared to previous seasons, was not a good season for him. Like he was definitely one of those veterans who didn't perform, like flat out. I mean, he didn't do it. I'm not really gonna be upset if he's not a part of this thing. So
yeah.
I think clearly the way he was talking there, it doesn't even seem like he wants to be a part of it. So
yeah.
Okay,
shame. So we'll wrap up Blackhawks hour there. We've got a packed NHL hour. We're gonna do playoff.
Are we gonna do Friday questions in there?
No.
Yeah, okay.
I can't imagine we have time for Friday questions today.
More Friday questions next week
yeah.
for chat, because I know they'll be yapping about it.
But we're going to be doing playoff predictions and breakdowns. We've got an interview with Dennis Bernstein. I'm going to be talking about a lot of Kings and playoff stuff with him, and then we also have the Mount Rushmore to get to. So all that and more coming up in the NHL hour. Stick around. Welcome back, NHL Hour, Chicago Hockey Radio. We have a special treat for you today. Yesterday, we filmed a ton of Mount Rushmores, and I think we perfected the format and made it most fair. Because if you've been watching the show or listening, you know that by the end of the season, we are going to be punishing the loser of these Mount Rushmore challenge by having them do a 24-hour stream at the end of the season. So that is going to be hell for the loser. Justin's pointing at me, but it's not going to be me, although I did lose today. So without further ado, we are going to send it over to the Mount Rushmore of Blackhawks moments.
All right, everybody. It is Mount Rushmore time. Justin is here. Although, if you're listening to this now, we'll put this one in tomorrow's show. We're pre-recording these right now, so we have Justin in the fold. We're going to pre-record 5. This is the first one, so this will go in Friday's show. So you already know Justin's back in town. But yes, first Mount Rushmore. And what are the standings currently?
I'm winning. That's all I know.
Is Justin in first, Raven and Tim in second. Tassos and Lee tied for third.
So you guys are losing to Raven and Tim. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's, it doesn't. Long season. Yeah, it's a long season. I'm not really that worried about it.
All right, we'll see.
I think
Tassos is feeling really good over there in those shades. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the shades. I'm rocking the shades today.
Shades inside.
Hawks' future is so bright, he's got to wear shades.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're doing top Blackhawks moments.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Who has the first? Raven and Tim.
Yes,
have
the order
first
for this first round will be me and Tim, Tassos in second. Already a great start for this recording session.
Fantastic job there,
Lee in
Lee.
third and Justin in fourth for this first round.
Man, back-to-back picks, I'll take it.
So going first, we are going to be picking Kane's overtime goal against the Flyers to win the Hawks' first cup since 1986.
That's fair.
61, my bad. I can't read.
You guys got your chat GPT up there.
We got our notes. No chat GPT, though.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, you can't really argue for that one. Yeah. Who's next then?
It is me, and I know what I'm going to do. I just want to think about it and make sure that I can also be stealing the best one from you guys, too.
He's got the shades there, so you can't see his eyes. That's a pretty smart strategy.
Yes.
Yeah. Who knows what he's doing, what he's looking at?
I'm going to do 2 goals in 17 seconds.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
Man, that's a good one. Yeah.
All right. I mean, I've got to go with the most recent cup. The first one on home ice against Tampa. First time on home ice in like over 80 years. So do that.
So what is the moment?
The time,
winning the cup.
Blackhawks winning the
time
2015
running
cup.
out. Yeah.
Okay.
First
time
one at
running out.
home.
Yeah.
Tays lifting the cup. Well, the dynasty, 3 cups, 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, y'all took all the cup teams from me, so I guess I got to go off. I mean, I guess there's 3 more, but we weren't alive for them, so I'm not really sure I'm going to be going for the 34, 38, and 61 cup wins. But I think that's a pretty good one to pick for 4 that, honestly, I'm a little surprised nobody picked it. Give me the Tays to Kane heartbreaker in 2013. Probably the most iconic goal from Patrick Kane, I would say. The most iconic Kane-Tays connection. Hell yeah.
Oh, you get 2.
Yeah, for this second pick, this is mostly a pick to let people know. Big picture here. I think it's a good pick.
All right. I'm going to do something somewhat similar. I'm going to say Rocky Wirtz taking the team over in 2007 because that's really what led to everything. No more dollar bill. Team gets on TV. You draft 88-19. You win 3 cups. Thank you, Rocky Wirtz.
Rest in peace, legend.
Yep.
This pick is for the people that don't listen to the show and will think that somebody took drafting Bedsy as a way to make themselves appear like Justin. So I'm going to do a pick that will make me appear like Justin. I'm going to do the Connor Bedard Michigan goal.
Oh, that's a good one.
I feel like that's a good
For
pick.
all-time Blackhawks moments, that's a
see what
good
he's
one.
going- I see what he's
I'm
going
trying
for.
to, that's not what I'm trying. You don't understand what I'm trying to do.
He's playing strategy.
Well, you're trying to
Strategy.
ambush. You're trying to ambush B-Hawks memes fans, but isn't the thing already going to be uploaded before this even comes out?
Yes.
Yeah. So
that's why I said this is for the non-listeners.
well, it doesn't
This
matter if somebody listens or not.
Okay.
But you mean this is for the non-CHR enjoyers, just people voting on the thing?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's fair. I respect the game. I respect the game. The hustle.
All right, fellas, what do you got?
Let's see what AI comes up with.
First on back-to-back, we're going to take Marian Hossa's redemption after losing back-to-back cups.
Good. Wait. Hold up. What do you mean?
Like he lost for the Pens.
Yeah.
Wings, yeah.
So just like him lifting the cup is your moment?
Yeah, like
Okay.
his career redemption.
I think you just write Hossa redemption. People get that.
No.
Yeah.
Hold up. When you write Hossa redemption, that can mean something very, very
Hossa
different. No,
2010 redemption.
don't say it. Don't say it. Let's not talk about
I'm
it.
not helping them out. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
So what is going on the graphic is Marian Hossa lifting first cup.
Yes.
Yes.
They're definitely reading off the script.
Well,
You got to type it.
Yeah, Marian Hossa's redemption lifting first cup. Sure. We'll get that.
That's fair. Yeah.
You want the word redemption in there?
Red
Is that
Dead
crucial to this pick?
not.
No. Okay, good. All right.
So
So
just
it's back
just
to me?
Hossa winning the cup.
No.
then?
It's
They get
back
another
to
one,
us
right?
again.
Oh, they do have another one. Yes.
For our second pick, we will be taking the Stan Mikita and Bobby Hull Legacy Night.
In 2008.
What?
It was they had a
That's
legacy night.
Yeah, I guess.
I would have done something from like their careers or something.
It's more like
We're not alive for that,
They
too,
also
dude.
you guys were shredding them. We know this is what they're not
This is
Blackhawks.
Google.
They're
Yeah,
not
this is
NHL
Google.
fans.
Nobody's gonna vote for
Yeah.
these guys.
What are we doing? Like
This is-
trashing these guys? Like
I
they're
know, but
supposed to
that's-
know.
Ooh, you
guys are so dumb. You
Yeah,
don't know the
right?
sport at
It's
all.
like- yeah, it's like you've never watched the sport until 5 months
No,
ago.
I
what
just-
the
I
fuck
feel
are
like
you
They
guys
have the
doing?
world
I
at their
just feel like
disposal
that's a
right now. and They
crazy
can't
moment
find a
to
better
pick.
answer.
For the best moments of all time to pick a legacy night is.
But it's those guys' night.
Yeah, but what about
You
something?
literally,
What about something that's
Tassos, you literally took Connor Bedard's Michigan goal.
Yeah, that's a hell of
was
a
a
moment
goal.
right there.
It
Has
happened.
anybody else scored a Michigan in
a goal.
Blackhawks history? I don't think so.
It happened while hockey was being played.
Okay. All right.
Technically, it was done before hockey was played.
All right. Back to me. I'm gonna do. There's a few good ones. Okay. I'm going to do the first Winter Classic at Wrigley Field.
Okay.
That was definitely more memorable than the last one for sure. Let up 6 goals in both games. Fun fact, but at least that game was close, unlike the one that we witnessed.
Is it my turn?
It is.
All right, I'm going to take the reason why I was getting so upset about the Marian Hossa redemption thing. I'm taking Marian Hossa's overtime goal against the Nashville Predators in 2010 when he comes out of the box and gets his redemption after taking a major penalty. Yeah, that's like.
Do you want redemption in the thing? Since they declined the word redemption.
No,
in their thing?
it can just be Marian Hossa overtime goal against Nashville.
Okay.
That's a good moment.
It's like, yeah, it's
and
probably,
the Kane Shorey to set that up too.
Yeah. Besides, I think that's like as far as like specific goals are concerned. Besides Heartbreaker and Kane and OT and Philly, it's probably my third favorite. So I'm going with that one.
Well, I think I got one that's a little better than that. Give me the Seabrook Game 7 2013 overtime winner against the Detroit Red Wings.
That one's good too.
Boom.
No, but that 2010 Hossa one for me will
Yeah, it's
always
fair.
just be like
They're hand in hand.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with either of them, right?
Yeah. Oh fuck! Now I gotta dig to the bag.
Yeah, I think.
Wait.
Justin has one more.
Yeah, one more for me, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. For this one, I feel like there's a few areas I can go here. This is a tough one because it's kind of, no, I'm not going to go with the bittersweet one. He's not even a Blackhawk there, but it was a cool moment. I'm going to go with a moment that I witnessed in person, actually. Give me Patrick Kane's 1,000th point as a Blackhawk. I was there for it, so I have some personal connection to it. Got against Winnipeg in the 1920 season. Yeah, give me that.
Nobody's taken Patrick Kane getting drafted, right? So I'm going to go with,
That's a fair comeback.
Yeah, Patrick Kane getting drafted to the Chicago Blackhawks at first overall.
Yeah, Bedard getting drafted before Patrick Kane.
Yeah, and Kane's won 3 cups. We've got Bedard's Michigan before Patrick Kane, who won 3 Stanley Cups for the franchise that only had 6 Stanley Cups. I'll take Patrick Kane getting drafted.
That's fair.
Oh my god.
You guys gonna go for those 30s cups or
60s? No.
Elmer Vasco having
that was a hell of a run.
Yeah.
Him and Palat were like the Keith Seabrook of the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think. There's a few good ones. There are a few good ones.
Bless you, Lee.
Thank you.
Wow, my bad.
I think I'm going to do... Kane's first playoff hat trick against Nashville in 2009.
I think that was the Canucks. Yeah, in 2009.
Or it was against the Canucks.
Yeah. That's a good one. That like forehand backhand goal.
The backhand that was like from
silky
from like 80 feet out.
Dang. Yeah, y'all pick better Kane moments than I think mine's still pretty cool.
All right, is that the last one for everyone? Our last pick is.
You guys have one pick left or two?
One pick left.
Okay.
Starting the 2013 lockout year, 21-0-3.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
That was a hell of a season. We have a lot of 20. If there's one season, it's probably 2013 that's in there the most for sure. Yeah.
21-0-3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 24 straight games that took them without a regulation loss. Yeah. That was a hell of a run. Those 2013 Blackout Blackhawks were, I mean, there were a lot of good Blackhawks teams in those 2010s, but that was the best one. No question about it.
Okay, so the polls for these are going to start being released before they're put out.
Correct.
So technically, the answer for what you're watching right now
is already out.
And we will discuss it at the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So enjoy the rest of the show. Let's throw it back.
Thanks for throwing it back over to me, Tassos. I really appreciate that. I hope you guys all enjoyed that that nice little Mount Rushmore that I still lose.
I win.
I just am. I'm a regular loser on the show,
First
and
place
nothing's
and
going to
last
change
place.
that, regardless of my name being on it or
Winner,
not.
loser.
All right, let's start breaking down some of these first round playoff matchups. The first of which is going to be the St. Louis Blues versus the President's Trophy winning Winnipeg Jets. It's also, conveniently enough, the first playoff game being played this season. Before we dive into opinions and different things, I will just say that Gabe Vilardi is supposed to be available in this series. Maybe earlier than Ehlers. Ehlers is still considered week to week, whereas Vilardi's day to day. Maybe see Vilardi in game 1 through 3, whereas Ehlers is probably going to be through 5 through 7 if it gets there.
That's big. If they can get him back, that's huge, because I do think Ehlers out is unfortunate. Like, I don't know if it's going to kill them for this first round, but I think down the road, that's definitely a guy you want back in the lineup. So Vilardi, if they can get him back in there, I didn't really think he was going to be back in for the first round. So if they can get him back in, that's huge for them for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with this. Who did you pick in your bracket, and why?
I picked the Jets because I don't like the Blues. I went with Jets in 5. I know the Blues have had a hell of a run there then this season, right? I think that's going to be a popular upset pick, I would imagine, because the Jets, yes, they're the President's Trophy winners, but they're the President's Trophy winners, and we know what happens, right? There's that drought going back to 2013. I don't know if this team's going to win the Cup. Like, I've had my reservations in Winnipeg. If you listen to the show, you know that, but I do think they're a good enough team where I don't really see them being a first-round exit this year, right? I think that Blues team, they had a solid run there than this season, but I think the playoffs are a different ball game, right? They look better under Montgomery, but I just think that the Jets team is just deeper. I know they have a couple injuries, but not really the core guys there. Like, if Hellebuck's on his game, right, which is a question mark because we see in the playoffs he's not always the same goaltender. So, but if he's on his game the way he's played this season, like he's never looked as locked in as he has been now. Had a hell of a run the Four Nations too, which is similar environments. So we'll see. As long as he didn't play against the Blackhawks in one of those last games of the season, he should be fine and just get some scoring support. KFC leading the way. Scheifele's had a hell of a season, so I think they have enough there to get it done at least for this first round. I think the Blues can hang around. I think I had the Jets at 5 actually, which
that's crazy.
Which might be a bit early. I think some people might say 6 or 7, but I actually think this is going to be a quicker exit for the Blues than people think. I think that's been the popular narrative is they're going to go on some 2019 Gloria run, yada yada, going from way out of the playoffs to punching their ticket. So they've been a pretty popular underdog pick, but I'm going to go against the narrative there and say that they're going to get that they're going to get a reality check against this Jets team in the first round.
I also picked the Winnipeg Jets to get past them. But I do think that this series is going to go 6 or 7 games, and I could totally see St. Louis upsetting them just because, I think since Montgomery's taken over, they finished the year super hot, and that's like one of the most important things, honestly, with Stanley Cup teams is like a lot of them manage to finish the regular season strong, and so like winning as much as they have to end the year is really good. I don't know, man. When I look at these two teams, they kind of play a similar game. Like they're both very reliant on the way they play defense. I really do. I do like the St. Louis defense. I think they're big and they're veteran and they're good. I guess Ryan Suter maybe being the one maybe question mark in that in that core. But
his last ride,
I still picked the Jets, even though I know I shredded the Jets when we played them last.
We're reacting in the moment, man.
Dude. I don't think they're gonna win the second. I think they're gonna lose in the second round.
Oh, they're definitely losing.
I just think that they're too good defensively, even without like Velarde and Ehlers. I think they're too good defensively for the Blues. Like I don't think the Blues are gonna be able to get enough going offensively. They don't have that like true game breaker, and I know Robert Thomas is really good, but
he's underrated. Yeah.
I don't think like this Winnipeg team has been impossible to score against all year. Last year they kind of switched from that identity, as we talked to Andy Francis about, bringing in Monahan and Toffoli.
They're not doing that this year.
They didn't do that this year. They're sticking with what they know.
What's worked.
And that is just playing defense and letting the Kyle Connor Scheifele connection on the power play kind of carry you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be enough for them to I think
to
it's
win
going
around.
to work. Yes,
to win
around.
4 rounds though, right? Because then you're gonna have to go through one in Dallas and Colorado, and good luck with that. I think that's gonna be their downfall, but maybe not. There's something to be said too, where it's like, not to preview the second round here, but it's like if they can get through the Blues quick, which I do have them getting through the Blues relatively fast, and if that Dallas Colorado series goes 7, maybe that team's banged up and they're a little fresher. Maybe that's something they can take advantage of. So we'll see. I think for the Jets, got to take it one round at a time though. Like the last time they won a playoff series, I think was 2019 when they went to the Western Conference Finals. It's been a lot of first round exits. So you win the President's Trophy, you got to at least go on some type of run here. It might not be a Cup final, even a Western Conference final run, but win a playoff series. Don't be but that's you got to get something out of the season, man. The 55 wins, 115 points, whatever it is, like it's not going to mean anything if it's another early playoff exit. That's just going to keep feeding that narrative that they're frauds, right? The regular season merchants, right? I think this is their time to kind of shift that narrative a little bit. Like if it's going to happen, I think it's going to happen now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so
they're good at a lot of important things for the playoffs. Like they have amazing goaltending. They're really good defensively. They're really good on special teams.
Yeah.
But I just 5-on-5, I don't think the team's talented enough or deep enough, and that's just what it is. Like look at that. Yeah, it's like your third line being Brandon Tanev, Adam Lowry, and Mason Appleton. It's a
great fourth line, I feel like, but third line
that just is not a Stanley Cup winner to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I understand.
I know Ehlers and Velarde are out right now, but still, even you insert those guys. Perfetti's been a nice piece. I think that's a guy who could be an X factor. Like the way he ended that season, it was a bit of a breakout for him. Like if he could kind of assert himself in that top 6, which he kind of has this season, that could be a big part for them, right?
Yeah.
For the Blues, I think, like Thomas, like a great player. They're underrated. But there's just a few pieces here where it's just like, I don't know if it's enough, right? Kyrou has had okay season up and down. Buchnevich is all right, but first line, Braden Shen is your second line center. Like, that's just not going to really do it. Like they have, again, solid structure. Montgomery's brought them in. They have Jimmy Snugger for the playoffs too. That could be an X factor. One of those guys that signed his ELCs after the college season and is drawn in there, right? So maybe that's a guy that can make a difference for them, right? And then the defense has been solid. Fowler's been a great addition. Like I did not expect him to fit in so well there, and he has. And again, like those guys they brought in off the offer sheets have done a great job there. Obviously, mostly Holloway, but Broberg's been solid as well. So that's been a big thing for them. Although Holloway, is he out right now? I'm noticing that right now, actually. So
I think he's going to be fine.
But he's going to be back. Yeah. So that's
All
big
right.
for them. Yeah.
Let's move on to the next series because it's let's be honest, it's more
You
captivating.
think
It's
Bennington's
more
nervous?
exciting.
If Four Nations Bennington shows up, they might have a shot here. I don't know.
Yeah. But I'd rather talk about this Dallas-Colorado
Me too.
series than keep talking about
Winnipeg
Blues.
in 6. I do want to say too.
Okay, Winnipeg in 6 for Tassos. I think I said the exact same thing on my bracket. I think I'm going Winnipeg in 6. And you
I
said
have it
Winnipeg in 5.
Yeah, I think the two games tomorrow we're definitely more excited for the Dallas Stars Colorado game than this one.
So as we know how predicting goes on CHR, that means the St. Louis Blues are going to win in 7 games. All right, moving down the bracket, we have the Dallas Stars versus the Colorado Avalanche. I know everyone's been building this up to be like the
feels
premier
like the biggest one.
matchup in the first round. I don't think so anymore. Really? And I've been like banging my brain for the past, I don't know, probably month and a half, honestly 2 months. It feels like we've known about this matchup for a really long time. Dude, with Heiskanen still out, that's a question mark there on if he's even going to return to the series. And you had Jason Robertson getting injured, knee injury as well, in like his final game that he played with the Stars. So I think it's tilting towards Colorado now.
And Gabe, is he going to be back?
And Landeskog is probably going to be back.
Whether it's game 1, away, whether it's game 3 at home, it does seem like he's going to draw back in some fashion here. And I just think, who knows what Gabe Landeskog is going to be able to do on the ice in 2025 to being away for 3 years, but it's not really that. It's just the mental impact. Like, that's your captain, the guy who was last on the ice with the Avs when he won the Cup in 2022. Like, just that's a huge impact piece, man, to just add in there. And I just think that gives him a bit of an edge. I think this Avs team has looked a lot stronger post-trade deadline. Natchez has been outstanding there. If anything, they've looked better after the Rantanen trade, which I think everybody sort of wrote them off a little bit, and they didn't write back, man. Like, they look like, this looks as close to that 2022 Avs team has had in a long time. They're actually pretty like healthy for once. Like, that's always been an issue with that team, and now it's not. And the guy that's literally been out the longest is finally returning. So, like you said, the Stars are banged up. Their best piece in the defense is out. Which without Heiskanen, it's just that's a driver, man. Without him, it's like I have to give the edge to the Avs here, right? I mean, the Stars did take him out in the second round last year, which, by the way, absolute crime that this is a first round matchup.
Yeah.
Like, what an absolute joke. It just shows how shitty the divisional format is. I know we've complained about it a lot, and that's not what we're going to do today, but I do think it's a shame that one of these teams is going to be out in the first round, because I think this should be a second round, hell, even a Western Conference final type of matchup, but that is what it is, right? But yeah, Harley, to be fair, Haskin's been out, but Harley has been, I think he's filled in that void pretty nicely for them, for the Stars, underrated defenseman. Look good for them. Lindell's solid back there too. So they still have a solid defense, but without Heiskanen,
I go back. I do not trust CeCe and Dumba. I don't trust them. I do not trust them in the playoffs. And that defensive
Bushkin
group.
on your first pair.
Yeah, dude, it's not
Brendan
good enough.
Smith is back there.
It's not good enough for me.
I know.
And if Heiskanen's able to get back for maybe a game 2 or something, if he's able to get back early into the series, my perspective on it might change.
Shifts, yeah,
but
for
just
sure.
like, dude, I've said on the show before too, like, I'm not going to be picking Colorado or Dallas to like win this year, because you have like a 50-50 shot of one of them getting eliminated in the first round.
Yeah.
And I just didn't think it was worth it. But with Heiskanen out, man, I think he's just too valuable.
It's like 60-40 Avs now, when it may have been 55-45.
It's maybe. And maybe even more in the favor of the... Like, if Heiskanen was back, this is a guy that would be playing over 25 minutes every single game of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no question. I think the Stars, you could argue they have a little more depth compared to the Avs, but I think they have star power is what's going to try them forward, man. Like McKinnon and McCarr on top of their games. It's really hard to beat that group, right? It's going to be a fun narrative too, right? Mikko Rantanen versus the Avs, right? How's he going to look, right? So it took him a little while, but he started to kind of cook there, and that's going to be interesting to watch. That's a big part of why I think we're so excited for this series, right? It'd be kind of, I think I'm cheering more for the Avs side than the Rantanen side. I think you probably wouldn't be surprised surprised by that, but that's gonna be a fun story to watch for sure. Yeah.
I think, honestly, I think this is a series that could be shorter than people expect. If Hiskinen stays out and Robertson's not back, I could see this ending, honestly, in like 5, to be honest with you. And I know that's maybe kind of a hot take, but I think Hiskinen's that big of a player. And Robertson and Rope Hintz have been looking really good together on that first line.
But day of the day, though, so he might not be out for that long. Yeah.
I just, when I looked, it was like nobody knows what's the deal. He left in a knee brace. You know, even if he is playing, how compromised is he? I don't know, man. It's just too sus for me to not pick the Colorado Avalanche there.
Yeah.
I will say, though, if the Dallas Stars are going to get it done, I think it has to be.
Yeah, in which he is in the playoffs. It must be said, like, he's a good regular season goalie, but in the past, the playoffs, he's won games by himself. I'll never forget that 2022 game. Was it against the Flames where he made, 60, 70 saves or something? Like, he won them that series, to be honest. Like, really did. And brought them probably far. Like, they actually lost that series, now looking back on it. But that series went to 7. It probably should have. So he's a big piece of that team, right? If he's on his form in the playoffs, that could be a driver there, especially if that decor, it's a big weekend, right? So, yeah, I think for me, I still think it's going to go. I still think it's going to be a 7-game series. Like, I still think these teams are just so damn even, and they've been building this thing up. Like, I think it's going to deliver. I think it's probably going to be the best series of the first round, at least up there for sure. Top 3, no doubt about it. The one I'm most excited for, and I give the narrow edge. Us Hawks fans, know a little thing about that. I give it to the Avs. I give the Avs 7 games here. I think it could go either way, but I just think they're a bit healthier right now. The vibes seem to be in their favor right now. They're playing their best hockey. Stars maybe a little more banged up. I think the Avs. It's just the chemistry of that team right now, and just the storyline of Gabe. Like, there's just a few drivers there, a few factors where it's like I can't not give it to them. I know the Stars have had their number though. Like, they did eliminate them last year. Yeah. They have been the team. I think 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Like, they have been a bit of a kryptonite for the Avs in the playoffs. But I think that shifts this year.
Yeah, I just think the Avs are better than they were last year.
They are
honestly
much better.
And yeah, dude, I really hope that all these, I hope Hiskinen and Robertson are back because this is
like this. Like, I want teams at full health, man.
It's
right?
such a treat.
You don't want asterisks.
It's such it's such a treat of a series that you don't want to see it decided because one team has more important guys injured.
Yeah, like, I want to see this series go long. I don't want this series to be a quick. And I don't want to be watching freaking Winnipeg Jets Blues hockey for 7 games. I want to be watching this for 7 games. So yeah, that's a big part of it. Some of these picks aren't all brain; they're heart, right? So. But yeah, I think I just have to give the edge to the Avs, man.
Yeah, just like with their power play too, I feel like it always clicks come postseason. Mm-hmm. The Avs, they've got those game breakers,
and they've won before. Like, they've been there, done that, right? They're not that far removed from that 2022 Cup. That Stars team has never won. They did the 99 Cup. Nobody was around in that 99 team, right? So they've been close so many times, right? Like, a lot of Western Conference final exits, right? Second round. Like, they've been so close so many times. So I think they're an easy pick where it's like, if they can't get past the Avs, like, you'd like to see that team go on a run, right? They've been so close, but it's just like, as well as they built that team, right? Bringing in a guy like Ratnan, I don't know. Like, it's kind of almost a shame for them to have to play a team like the Avalanche round 1. But
this is
the same deal, vice versa.
The first game of this one also going to be tomorrow night. It's the later game, so we're going to be streaming that.
That's going to be fun, man.
So
I
excited
wait
for
that.
game 1, dude. It's you know that building in Dallas is going to be absolutely on fire. Just given what that town,
they need to get the edge.
What that sports town has gone through this year, that place is going to be absolutely electric.
I feel like they have to win that first game. Like, they have 2 games at home to start the series, right? You have to have the lead, I think.
Yeah,
that's important for them. You have to start on the right foot. I think you got to take advantage of the start. Because when it gets back to Colorado, and let's say Gabe Landeskog draws in at home,
you hit that altitude.
Place is going to be absolutely electric. The altitude, right? Then the series is going to start to go back in Colorado's favor, and I could see it going the wrong way for them. So I think start the series. I know they have a couple guys out, but this is still a team that can get it done. There's no question about it. The depth is there. I mean, just look at this Dallas Stars third line, dude. They have Ratnan on the third line right now with Wayne Johnston and Jamie Benn. Like, that's a ridiculous third line. Honestly, I would probably swap the second and third lines here, but whatever. The point is they have 3 lines when J-Rob's healthy. They have 3 lines that can roll. That realistically could be top lines in any other team. So that's the one thing I look at where it's like, it's so good. I hate eliminating this team in the first round. It's an injustice.
Yep.
And Gary Bettman, the fact that you're still doing this, like, come on, like it should be the conference format, but like I'm gonna keep bringing it home because it's a shame that this will be an amazing second, third round matchup. It's not a first round, but whatever. I know we're yapping there.
Another thing I will say before we move on from this series, because I mean I think this is the series in the West that everybody's most excited for in the first round. Dallas finished so badly. They finished the year horribly.
Yeah.
They just weren't clicking. And now I know playoffs are a completely different beast and like you can't draw too much, but I just think ending the season that badly is not good to get you rolling into this postseason.
So, you know, the Carolina Hurricanes acquire Mikko Rantanen, and they don't look too good with him. The chemistry's nowhere, and they trade him. And then these Dallas Stars acquire Mikko Rantanen, and suddenly they don't end the season very strong. It goes nowhere. Is this guy the problem? Is he a McKinnon merchant?
No, I don't, because I think he's been like okay on Dallas.
I mostly fucking with you, but I just think, you know, there's been a lot of people, you know, I think it's a funny thing. You know? I think it'd just be a funny coincidence if after all the hype after acquiring him, that they're their first round exit to the team that, you know, he left. I think that'd be pretty hilarious, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And like, yeah, dude, the storylines with that too. Where like, you know, you leave, you end up signing for $12 million,
and then you end up winning the
divisional
cup. Imagine
rival,
that.
and then your team that you left beats you in the first round and goes on to. Yeah,
give
man.
that to me. That'd be too funny.
The
man.
storylines in this series are electric. I really hope we get to see Gabe Landeskog too. I think.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it's not all talk. I don't think it is. I don't think they'd be doing a show right now about it. They feel pretty good. But I don't think he'd be playing in Colorado Eagles games. So they didn't think he was going to be coming back for the playoffs.
I mean, dude, but can you imagine like they split the first two, and you're going back to Colorado. Yeah. Gabe Landeskog makes his debut.
Comes out the tunnel.
Building erupts, and it's like you're at altitude. You're in the belly of the beast, and. Oh man, and I can tell these Avs fans are hyped for this series in for these playoffs. I was on the phone with a buddy yesterday, and we were looking up playoff tickets for several different teams around the league, and the seats for the Avs Stars game in Colorado were like the most expensive we could find. So yeah, that place is going to be absolutely packed.
It's going to be absolutely electric, as you would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And any other thoughts? Or are you good to move on to this?
Did you predict your prediction there?
Yeah, I said Avs.
Sorry.
I'm
how
going
many games?
I'm going like Avs in 6.
Avs in 6. How about you, Tassos?
I'm gonna go Stars in 7.
Ooh, we got our first disagreement there. That's fair. Like I could still, after all that talk, I could totally. Like, this could go either way. Like this is probably the biggest coin flip of a series. Just flip a coin.
Florida, Tampa.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, Florida is looking like they're getting back to full health, so I don't know, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll get to that later. All right, I think we got second to last in the West here before we bring on our guest to talk about the Oilers Kings. We got the Wild and the Vegas.
Yeah. This one, thank God Kaprizov and Eriksson are back.
We would not be up for the series.
We would not have cared at all.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people say like Vegas in 5. I think this is going to be a 7-game series.
I'm close. I'm in between. I have 6.
Yeah. I think that the Wild at home, Vegas has been really good at home, but not so good on the road. I just think with Kaprizov and Ekbak, they're going to be good enough to make this a series. I think the Wild have depth too. I think their roster's relatively underrated. But overall, I am going to be picking the Vegas Golden Knights to win it in 7.
I have Vegas in 6. I think it's going to be a closer series, right? Just with those two coming back. Like the Wild are a different team with those two in the lineup. Like if they weren't there, I'd probably be picking a Vegas sweep. Maybe give the Wild 1 game. I just think with those two coming back, though, like I don't think it's enough for me to give the Wild the edge because I just think there's still not enough there. Like you got the Boldies there and all these guys, right? It's a solid squad. The Rossies and they got that defense back there. My favorite player in the NHL, right? Brock Faber. Just kidding. Back there. Fleury's last ride there is back up. He probably won't be playing too much, but. We'll see. I like the Wild. Like I'd like to see them pull off an upset here, but I don't see it, man. The Vegas team is too strong. There's too much depth. They're 2 years removed from that 2023 team, and they're pretty healthy too, which is something that they don't always have. I'm sure Mark Stone's list is day to day here, shocker. But I'm sure he'll be back magically in time for the playoffs because that's what he does. He's the king of that, Mr. I'm not gonna say anything more about Mark Stone there. I don't think not one of the most well liked players in the league. I'll just leave it at that. But no, he's the guy. He's the edge guy. That's the guy you want in the playoffs. Somebody's gonna piss you off, right? Beat you, and then Jack Eichel driving the playoff. That guy's had probably the best season of his career. Like, he's on top of his game right now. Probably a top 10 player right now. I mean, just in terms of his two-way game, very Barkov-esque, right? Like, that's the guy you win cups with, like very Tays-like, right? Like, very complete player. Like, that's the guy you want as your 1C there. So Vegas is they're too deep. Like, I don't like Vegas. Like, if I want, my heart would pick Minnesota, but my brain says Vegas. They're too good. I'm not saying they're going to win a cup this year, but I do think they're going to go far. I see them going to the Western Conference Final. They're too deep this year.
I just think they're built for the playoffs. It's like you've got this wagon of a team that's built so well defensively. Like their decor is so good, and honestly, the whole team is like, they're big, they're veteran guys. They've been there, they've done it, and they're led by a superstar in Jack Eichel, who's honestly had probably his most impressive season yet. I just think they're going to be too much for the Wild, too experienced, too big, too physical. And yeah, same thing. I think I have them in my Western Conference final as well. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's hard for me to pick against Jack Eichel in a series. Like
I want to. Like, I'd love to see this be a first round exit for them, but I don't see it happening again like it was last year. I think this is a better team. They look more like that 23 Cup team, right? Healthier and just firing on all cylinders. Like, they play that perfect style of game in the playoffs that wins you series and wins you cups. So I don't think they're quite going to repeat, but they'll come close. Yeah.
I think Tomas Hertls is back. I think he sat out, but I think he's...
Well, that would be big for them because he's been a nice fit there. I'm not seeing him here, but I think he's listed as day of the day maybe or something. I'm not even seeing him.
Yeah, no, they're
Daily Faceoff is... I'm not really sure what's going on with them over there. But yeah, if Hurl's back, that's another big driver there because I look at this Bob Six right now, I'm definitely thinking, yeah, they could definitely use another piece there, but I'm assuming he's going to be back. So that's big for them. But yeah, for the Wild, though, it's like that is good news, right? And this makes this a series. Like, this would probably be the one I'd be probably the least awake for without... Because like Kirill Kaprizov, like, let's be honest, he is the Minnesota Wild. And Eric Sedek is an underrated 1C there, a very good two-way player. So that's a guy you want. It's a great burst line, and it just after that, I just don't think there's enough there. I don't think Kaprizov alone is going to do it. We've seen it before with this Wild team, right? They've been a pretty common first-round exit. They just don't really get it done in the playoffs, and I don't think it's going to be different this year. I know they're a lot better team with those guys in the lineup, but I just think Vegas has been there, done that. They have the experience that they don't. Minnesota's kind of a fresh team too, so their time will come, right? What they're building with that decor. A guy like Bouillon coming in, I'll be curious to see if he plays at all, right? That could be an X factor right there, but I just don't think there's quite enough for me to... I think it's going to be a closer series people give credit for, especially those guys coming back, but 6 games feels just about right. Not quite 7. Like, I'm not convinced it's going to be that close, like a Dallas Colorado situation, but I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park for Vegas. They certainly can't take them for granted because this could be a surprise for sure. Yeah,
no, and I think there's a path for Minnesota to win this. Like, I could totally see it happen. Like, if you're able to... Because Vegas is so much better at home than they are away. If you're able to split one of the first 2 games on the road and then, you're head back to Minnesota even, I think it's super possible. And yeah, dude, I mean, they're a completely different team. And that's why I think I don't know, man. Part of me wants to pick Minnesota in the first round. I'm not going to, but I just they were so good at the start of the year. Before Kaprizov got hurt, it was like they were contending to win the division, and then he gets hurt and Eriksson gets hurt.
It's easy to forget that, right? That was a long time ago, and they early season they're one of the hottest teams in the league of those guys.
We were bullish on them. We were like, oh my gosh, dude, this team might be a wagon. Like, they might have it figured out. Dude, I could see it happening. I think their defense group is a little sus, in my opinion, too. Like, it's a little too old, and
after Brodin Faber, it's a lot of mid there, right? It's just they're just not as deep, they're not as complete as Vegas, and that's why I got to give them the edge. So, yeah, that's the long and short of it for me, man.
Tassos, what are your thoughts on the series?
Vegas. I'm one of the Vegas and 5 guys that you were talking about right off the hop.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I'd like this series to be a little fun. I'd like to see if we can get Marc-Andre Fleury thrown in the mix at some point. That would probably
one final ride.
I mean, that would be the ultimate story if he could, unseat, if he was the guy and they beat Vegas.
Flower always shows up in the playoffs, right?
Well, come on, man. He's had some runs. I hate that narrative when it comes to Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah, Matt Murray had to step in for him there. I love Flower, but, it is a narrative.
Yeah, Matt Murray was good. Yeah. Matt Murray was good. He had some stuff that
and then
derailed his
career. Fell off a cliff, yeah.
Yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, he was there in 09. Like, he didn't get, but I mean, when you win 3 cups and for one of them you're the starter, I can understand why that narrative is out there.
He made these stop to win the cup. on Nick Lidstrom.
He did. That was a
in
big one. He
2009.
was pretty good for Vegas in the offs, if I'm not mistaken. But this is 2025. I'd love to see him back in for like just for kicks, right? I don't really want that last regular season game to be it for him. Like it'd be nice to see him one more time. But they're definitely going to go the Flower only if they have to go the Flower.
We're
right?
not going to see Flower. We're not.
Well,
gonna see
yeah,
Flower.
that's what I said. They would only turn to him if
there's an injury or if Gustafson's struggling and they just need maybe they just need a
They're
boost.
down 3-1
right?
or something
just
like
for,
that.
Just for the hell of it. Like they're down 3-0 and like
Yep.
just for fun, like they don't want to get swept. Oh, Flower, go have a legacy game and win us one so we don't get swept. I could see that.
That was something we didn't really talk about
Yeah.
when we were just breaking it down. Is who do you guys give the edge to in net? Like
Vegas, what's the deal with Aiden Hill? What happened?
I think he's good. I think he's fine.
What's wrong with daily faceoff? I'm seeing Akira.
You can't. It's because it's still from the last
regular
games.
season.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
an idiot, man. Why am I using daily faceoff?
That's why
man?
I didn't use it because they honestly love DFO, but they take forever to update that shit.
yeah, I
Like
was
they
like-
do not care about it anymore.
But yeah, I think
It's
you
more
could
about the
argue though.
content.
I'd probably take. I know Hill's won a cup of Vegas in 23, but like a lot of it's because of the team in front of him. Like, he's just good enough, right? You probably. I mean, Phil Guston's kind of underrated. So
Yeah, he's been really good
So
this
you
year.
actually argue they do have an edge in net, a very, very narrow edge, but defense Vegas, offense Vegas. Like after Kaprizov, it's Vegas. So, that's long and short of it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I got for that series. We have a guest on.
Yeah, I don't.
Not yet, but
We
he
get
should be
to
on
tee
in
up
a minute.
Edmonton, LA a bit before we bring him on. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys.
Or should we?
Do you want to give our picks out of the way?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. I mean, this one is. This one's the hardest one for me to predict. I think we've all been. I think it's the same deal for you, Lee. Like we've been tossing and turning.
Yep.
Every single stat seems to support the Kings, and yet history doesn't, man. Like this is the fourth time we've been here. We've been down this road before. We've played these games before. So for that reason, I can't. I know. I think I've been saying on the show. Oh, I think it might be LA this year. I'm a hypocrite, man. When I actually got to it to make my bracket and really lock it in, I picked the Oilers. Like I don't care. McDavid just got back. He looks like himself. Draisaitl. Those two are alone. Like I don't even care about the rest of the team, man. Like they were one game away last year. Like I don't think they're gonna win the cup this year, the Oilers. But like they're not just gonna be a first round exit to the team they beat in the last 3 years. Like I don't care about how good the Kings are at home ice. They faced this team before and haven't been able to get the job done. I don't think it's gonna be any different. I think it's another first round exit for the Kings. So that's the way I go. That's the way I see it. But I could see it go another way too.
Tassos is picking LA, right?
LA.
Maybe no, but we,
So none of us are picking LA after all that time. Wonder what our guests have to say about that.
Oh my
He's a
gosh.
Kings guy, right? Dennis Bernstein.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Looking forward to hearing
yes, and we have him along for the ride
Oh,
right
here he
now.
is. All right,
So,
good.
welcome to the program, Dennis Bernstein. Thank you very much, senior writer
Great
for
to
the
be
fourth
back.
period.
Welcome.
Host over at Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, and chair for the LA chapter of the Professional Hockey Writers Association. So, thank you so much for having a bit of a conversation here, joining our conversation about Los Angeles and Edmonton going at it in the first round. Just maybe your initial thoughts, like going into this for the fourth year in a row. Like what is sort of the first thing or few things that like come to your mind?
Well, there's matchup fatigue, right? Because this is the fourth season in a row. I think the fans would like to see a different team, especially in Los Angeles since you're 0-3.
Yeah.
But this is a very different series than last season. I think this is the best Kings team of the four, right? And when I talked to Mike Anderson in Seattle, I was on the road with the team last week. He felt that the first season when they lost in 7, remember they were up 3-2. It was 2-2 in the third. Connor made a great play. I think one of the defensemen scored, and they wound up winning Game 7 when Connor played 27 minutes. The next series was 6 games. Last year, and here's the thing about last year, they got beaten 5.
Yeah.
They got bullied too. Right. And so when you see the acquisitions that Rob Blake made in the offseason, like getting Edmondson, who's 6'5" and 220, like going out and getting Tanner Janot, who's a great fighter who people don't want to fight. Last year their fourth line center was Blake Lizotte. Blake Lizotte was 5'9", 175. Game 1, fourth line center, Sammy Helenius is 6'6", 205. Right. Janot's hurt. Is going to miss probably the beginning of the series. So they replaced him with Jeff Palat, who's a rookie, a 27-year-old rookie who's 6'5" and 200.
Tough
and
kid,
his brother's a his brother's a UFC fighter. So this is not going to be the same Kings team that the Oilers face. And it's definitely not the Oilers team that went to Game 7 last year. Like, they're not as good.
No.
There's no way as good. So this is a really good opportunity. So when you see the odds from the markets, the Oilers are a very, very slight favorite. But there are a lot of people starting to pick the way the Kings because the last 21 games, I think the Kings are 17-5 or 17-4.
Mm-hmm.
So they've closed with a rush. I think pound for pound, they're the better team. Now, I'm not saying that Connor and Leon can't rise up and carry a team, but when you compare the rest of the team that the Oilers had in Game 7 against the Panthers to this Oilers team, nope. There's a reason why more people are picking the Kings in this round than in the other previously 3 seasons.
Yeah, and I agree with that sentiment that, like, I do genuinely believe that the LA Kings as a full roster is significantly better than the Oilers, especially given the injuries that the Oilers have been dealing with.
Yep.
It's like you've got all these guys that you don't even know who's going to play. Like, where's Nuge going to play? Is he going to play with McDavid? You know, who's Arvidsson going to play with? You know, are you going to have all these guys back? You have no Ekholm in the first round.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
I just like, I guess it's still just like.
And Zach Hyman's hurt his wrist.
Yeah.
I love Zach Hyman. He's not he's a 30-goal scorer.
He
He's not a 50-goal scorer.
No.
Yeah, and if I told you, I was on with Jason Greger in Edmonton yesterday, and he was kind of, look, Edmonton guys pushing the Edmonton narrative. Which team had more 20-goal scorers this year? The Edmonton Oilers or the Los Angeles Kings?
The Kings had the
It wasn't the
depth to
Oilers.
beat them, yeah.
It wasn't the Oilers. Because here's the thing. All the guys that left Edmonton, like, go down the list. We know about Broberg and Holloway in St. Louis. Like, Fogle came here. He's better than Arvidsson.
Yeah.
Ryan McLeod, who was their fourth line center, he scored 20 goals in Buffalo. And all the guys they will replace them with are not as good.
Yeah.
Like, you've got guys like Podkolzin and Kapanen on the wing. Now, look, supposedly Evander Kane's going to come back in Game 1, and certainly the physicality, the mentality on the ice. Is he going to be able to score goals like he did a couple of years ago? No, this is
Be an agitator. Yeah.
He's been out for so. I will say this: if they get by this round, the Oilers, it would be one of the best jobs by Connor and Leon.
Yeah.
Because I just don't see Jeff Skinner coming in and scoring 7 goals in this series. Like, there's no X factor for this. The X factor for the Oilers is not an X factor. It's 97 and 29. They're going to have to carry this team.
They've done it before, though.
That's been my reservation, and I did pick Edmonton just because all the things you've just said are true, and yet somehow Edmonton is still a favorite on the sports book. Something that a lot of people have been turning to, especially on the LA side of things, and why this year might be different, is because you've got home ice, and that's really big for LA because obviously they have the best record on home ice. Something I don't see people talking about very much, and I would love to get your take on it, is that a bit of a double-edged sword to where, like, yeah, they've been really good at home, but they haven't been the same team on the road. Do you see that being a problem in the first round?
Well, let's talk about the home ice first. Okay, so that narrative's going around that, and yes, it's different. Like, it's great to have home ice in Game 7, but consider this: if it's that big of a deal, the Kings had home ice advantage in all 3 prior series after Game 3. They went up to Edmonton every time and split. So with a best of 5 remaining, they had 3 home games, and they couldn't get it done. Right? So I'm discounting this home. It's been a great run. It's been an incredible run, right? But if you lose one game, are you telling me that you're going to run the table at home, and you're not going to lose a home game? But if you lose Game 1, then what are you going to do? Then you're going to go play. I think it's a great thing. I think here's the thing: the Kings need every mental advantage coming into this.
Yeah.
So if they feel better about the fact that they got home ice because they haven't beat this team 3 times in a row, I'm all for it. Now, with respect to these teams and the offense, the Kings have been a very different team since the trade deadline. Because a guy who came in who I thought would be a part-time player or not really an impact player, Andrei Kuzmenko, has been the opposite. He's been a huge impact with Kopitar and Kempe.
Yeah,
and he's made the power. And here's the thing: people look at the power play. Wow, look at the difference between the Oilers power, and they go, "Oh, it's 15%." It hasn't been 15% since the trade deadline. It's probably around 25%. Right, so the differential in the 2 power plays are not always going to give it to the Oilers. It's not that great. And here's the other issue: it's not about the offense. And you guys mentioned Ekholm. That turned it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because now the top pair is Nurse and Bouchard has not had a great season. And why? Because Ekholm's been out so much.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second pair is Kulak and Emberson. Here's the difference with the Kings team. Last year, they were a one-line team because Quentin Byfield was playing left wing with Kopitar and Kempe. He wasn't playing center. Now he's playing center, driving his own line. He's paired with Fiala, who had 35 goals, who's been almost a perfect player the last 2 seasons. The Oilers are going to have to defend more than one line. And who's their shutdown line? It's Adam Henrique.
Yeah.
And I think Connor Brown. Like the matchups don't favor Edmonton as much as you might think. And I don't think they were ever the better 5-on-5 team. Like, they're merchants when it comes to the power play.
Yeah.
So if they don't convert at 35 or 40% and they only do 20 or 25% in this round, they're not the better 5-on-5 team, because I don't know who's going to, like, if you want to put out your matchup line, defend the Kopitar line, then who's going to defend, Byfield and Fiala and LaFerriere, who almost scored 20 goals. It's a very, very different team. It's a deeper team the Kings have this year offensively. So ignore like the first 55 to 60 games, like they weren't good on the road, right? But you know why they weren't good on the road? Here's why. It's a defense first team. It's always going to be, right? And so when they don't play great in the first period at home, you know what the score is? 0-0. But if they go down on the road 1-0 or 2-0, it's not in their DNA to come from behind much. Now, it's a better offensive team, and they've won some games on the road here down the stretch, but they're going to have to play better against an Edmonton team. But they're comfortable playing up there. They won a Game 5 a couple of years ago. So the Edmonton Oilers have a better record on the road against the Kings in those 3 series than at home. So I think that they're not intimidated. They may be intimidated by the power play, but to go up and play at Rogers, I don't think it's that intimidating, because they've won a bunch of games there.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing I'd like to get your take on, it's a different type of question, more of a big picture question, but there's been this debate on the show about the playoff format a lot, right? With the divisional format. And
Sure.
What are your thoughts on that? Because obviously we've seen the same matchup for 4 years. I'm sure it's getting a little annoying and frustrating. It's like, would you like to go back to the conference format, or is this just what it is now? It seems like the NHL, Gary Bettman likes it, so they're probably going to stick with it.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Why are you going to touch the best part of the season, Stanley Cup playoffs? Yeah. Because I've done that exercise like 1 through 8 a couple of seasons ago. The 4 or 5 teams were the same. Yeah. Because it's a really good team. So you're going to have a 100-point team and play a 100-point team, whether you do it in division or you do 4 or 5. So, like, to get a breath of fresh air for us would have been nice to win the division, let's say, for, and play a wild card team. I don't want to touch the playoffs. I think here's the thing. The best team wins. Yeah. Nobody gets it. To the point about reseeding, who gets an easy trip to the Cup final? No one. Yeah. No one. And that's what you want. Like, this is best on best.
But you don't think there are like matchups that, favor certain teams? Like, we've talked about it on the show before, like for the Leafs.
Example.
Like if you're if I'm the Leafs, I would so much rather play the Tampa Bay Lightning in the second round than the Florida Panthers. And so it's like,
Well,
but here's the thing. But here's the thing. This is the season. Like, I'll give you an example of Winnipeg. Okay, Winnipeg's reward for winning the division is not playing Dallas or Colorado in the first round. That's significant. Yeah. Same thing with Vegas. Like, Vegas got Minnesota instead of the Kings or the Edmonton Oilers because they won the division. So are we not going to reward those teams for doing that? So I think there is. I think the way it's set up is great, and what they want to do, what's always the take, create rivalries because the team's in proximity, whatever. Who cares, right? There's no proximity between Edmonton and
LA.
Yeah.
It's getting back-to-back
matchups. I'm going to Edmonton. Believe me, there's no direct flights. I got to go through Calgary or Vancouver, so it's going to be. But I love the first round. I know there's that one. People are going to whine because the loser, Dallas and Colorado, are going to go out. So what? Boo-hoo. Nobody remembers that. All they remembers is the Florida Panthers won Game 7 against the Edmonton Oilers, and it was a great Cup final. So I don't want to touch the format. If it became too egregious, fine. And it shifts every year, too. You could say more about the West and the East this year than maybe next year. It might be more about the East being an unfair matchup than the West.
Yeah, I think the thing in the East that I saw that just grinded, because I said I want to go back to the 1 versus 8, and the reason why is like in the East, it's just like the Metro, come trade deadline, the Metro didn't do anything. They all those teams just kept their hands in their pockets and just watched the Atlantic load up with an arms race. And I don't know.
Well, there's no question that Carolina, New Jersey series, nobody's going to care.
No one cares. Why would
They asked me to handicap the 8 series. I said, do I have to handicap this one? There's no Jack Hughes is out. There's not a lot of star power in Carolina. It's 2 small markets. Yeah, nobody's going to care. That's going to be the 8th most interested series, or probably interesting series, given the way these teams play. So yeah, there's some of that. But the other thing is, look who's out. Look at all the visual 6 teams that are out, right?
Yeah.
Boston,
All forwards,
right? New
Americans.
York, yeah, exactly. And
It's a
Pittsburgh's
nightmare
not
for the
in it.
league.
So yeah, no, it's not a nightmare. Come on, they had the best attendance ever. It won't be a nightmare. People thought that Edmonton. If I told you beginning of the Stanley Cup final, Edmonton and Florida, you'd say nobody would watch that. And guess what? Everybody watched it. You know why? And you know why I'm not worried about this year? There was something in February called the Four Nations. There's a lot more casual fans. There are a lot more casual fans for this, and it helps. It helps the viewership. Now the ratings are down a bit. They're down 10%. Whatever. Who cares? They have a long-term contract. But it's just the intense guys. Like I watched the Kings team go through the paces last night, right? And a game that was boring and meaningless. And in 3 days, it's going to be Edmonton, LA, game 1, and the intensity is going to be dialed up through the roof. So I don't worry about these tangent things about changing the format or it's not great matchups, because you know what? I was in Florida for Game 7. That was an amazing game, right? So I have faith that these teams, the 2 best matchups, and I think, to be honest, I think we might see a matchup of 2022 again in Tampa and Colorado. I really love those 2 teams because they're playing really well down the stretch. So the formatting and I get the matchup sometimes fatigue, and you have a bad matchup. But the offset of Carolina and New Jersey is Toronto and Ontario and the Ottawa Senators. That's going to be a bloodbath. So there's going to be some really good series as well.
For sure, yeah. What's another series that, like, besides, sure you have some biases of obviously the Kings Oilers series, but you have to look at one first-round matchup here. What intrigues you the most? Yeah.
I think that the 2-3 match. I think Tampa Bay and Florida.
Yeah.
Even though Florida looks so tired now, they've played so much hockey. They haven't played well down the stretch. Remember, they went to the Cup final 2 years ago, won it last year. Tampa looks really good, and then Dallas, Colorado. Even though the Jason Robertson injury throws, certainly. Yeah. I was picking Colorado before then, but I think those 2 matchups are really intriguing. Don't think much about Vegas and Minnesota. That could be a sweep. Montreal, great story. I'll give them a game to win at Bell Center, but it's not going to be there. But those 2-3 matchups, to your point, like you're going to knock out 2 really good teams, but you know what? That's loser talk. Like, nobody's going to say, if I lose, we can have a consolation prize saying that we were a really great team. We got screwed by our seedings. Nobody says that. So those 2-3 would, because it's going to be blood. Like the teams in Florida and Tampa hate each other. They do. There's hate there. Yeah. Not so much in Dallas and Colorado, but that's a matchup that, when you have guys out there like Cale McCarr, McKinnon, and Dallas has such great depth. So I think those 2 matchups are looking. I think those are the closest and certainly the most contentious of the 8 matchups.
Tassos, you got a question, or can I ask another?
I do have one, but you could also ask another.
Go ahead.
Vlad Gavrikov is a player that is sneaky, had a very good season, and sort of played this whole cap going up thing, right? Everybody thought he was going to sign a long-term extension, and he signed a short-term one, and I think he's up this summer
yes, he is.
In a market that seems pretty thin on defense, especially now that Chikrin's off the board. What do you think about Vlad and his situation and his role on this team?
I voted him the best defenseman this year. When Doughty went down the first shift of the first preseason game, and he had to shift sides, and he went from his natural left side to the right side, and he played 24 minutes and played stellar hockey. Look, Darcy Kemper is the MVP of this team, no question. I think he's going to be a Vezina finalist, but Vlad's not too far behind, and they can't afford Vlad to the Neil Pionk contract. Was it $7 million for 6 years? Maybe you don't get 6. He's going to be 7.5. That's going to help with the cap going up. They can't let him leave. I don't think they will. I think that there's already kind of a meeting of the minds here. So I at this point, and things can change with one conversation, I don't think he hits free agency by July 1st. Whenever the Kings get eliminated, if they do before the Cup final, I think they may announce an extension there because they can't. And you know what? He loves playing in Los Angeles. And I think that has a long way to go. If they can meet, a reasonable number, and it's going to go up, right? If they can hit the number, the term might be a little bit of a challenge, but he wants to stay here. That's the goal. So I would be surprised if he's a free agent on July 1.
You mentioned Darcy Kemper being the MVP of this team. Honestly, a resurgence for him this season, for his career. Do you, like, as a guy who's been watching the team way closer than I have, how much do you attribute to Darcy Kemper and like how much he's improved, or how much do you give credit to the Kings' really solid defensive structure that it's been their identity for the past few years?
Yeah, it's probably 25% structure, 75% Kemper.
Okay.
Because you still got to stop the puck. 922 save percentage. And numbers that they don't mirror Hellebuck with respect to wins, but look at the save percentage and look at the goals against. Yeah. Now some of it is the system, absolutely. But he's been big. You know when he's been big? He's been big early in games where they don't fall behind because what I mentioned, they can't afford to fall behind because they're not a great gifted offensive team. So they can't he's kept them around games early. That's really been his value. When they haven't come out of the box hot, they don't go down multiple goals. So, but he's earned it. And you guys are right. He was the backup in Washington last year. He had a bad year last year. But you know what? If you look at Cam Talbot's numbers last year, they were pretty good in the system. I think they're about 9-10 save percentage, not Darcy's numbers. So this does help goaltenders. It's a goaltender-friendly system. And not only that, but they've changed. Now, last year, and the years prior, they were doing a 1-3-1, which everybody hated, which slowed down the game. They went away from that. It's a traditional 1-2-2, so it's not, but they still don't give up a lot. And I'll say this, there are guys that are committed to playing defense on this team, like Kuzmenko I mentioned. He never threw a back check, ever in his career. Yeah. I don't think ever. Yeah. He came to LA and he's starting to back check. And that's after playing for Tortorella, who would probably demand it from him. But these guys, even like a guy like Fiala comes back, and LaFerriere is a really good, solid two-way player. So is Warren Fogle. So I think the mentality is, yes, it's still a defensive team. That's their DNA. They check for their chances. They're not going to go overboard with respect to attack. They're not an off-the-rush team. But, yes, the system definitely helps goaltenders, and it's helped a bunch of goaltenders, even going back to Jonathan Quick, but even though he's the GOAT here. And guys like Korpisalo came in and had good numbers. Guys like Phoenix Copley came in good numbers. So it's not like, okay, so do they have some voodoo with respect to the coaching of goaltenders? Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe a little bit. You know,
Bill,
Bill Ranford and Mike Buckley do a good job coaching these guys. But yes, some of it is because the system, they just don't give up a lot of chances, guys.
What was your reaction to that second to last game? The Oilers playing the B team and trying to hurt the kid. What was your reaction to that game? And I guess more specifically, the Darnell Nurse hit on Quentin Byfield.
Well, there's no place in the game for that. That's not an in the play game, play, right? Like he's down on the ice, face down. You cross check him into the ice. He should have been suspended. People in Los Angeles are upset. It was only for one game, and it was a meaningless game against San Jose.
Seems convenient.
About that. Yeah. Yes, I thought they would self-pedal that anyway. You're not going to have, with Ekholm out, you're going to really sit this guy for a game on that. That's really, too much. So, and Quentin wasn't. And here's the thing, he might have been hurt in a moment, but he's fine. He was fine in San Jose. The next night in Seattle, he was in the press box, goofing around with his boys in the locker room afterwards. So he's not hurt. And that's the most important thing. It just dolls up the Robert. Now, Corey Perry, okay. I'm going to discount what Corey Perry says because 3 months ago, he was crying about protecting all the star players. Remember when Connor McDavid got suspended? Why did you protect the star players? Last time I checked, Quentin Byfield is a star player, not to the magnitude of Corey Perry. So, and I get it. Phil Deneau did an interview after the second period, in the period where Byfield just got hurt. Yeah. It was a heat of the moment interview. Yeah. And same thing with Corey. He came, and they're all very competitive guys. Mm-hmm. They come off the ice, you stick a microphone in his face, and it probably says something that he may have not regretted. But I'll tell you the degree of competitiveness in this league. The Kings game last night was meaningless. It had no meaning. It had 4 players do a rookie lap. The Kings didn't play well in the third period. Lost 5-1. Pillow comes in, the coach, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm pissed about the way we played." And I asked him, I go, "Why are you pissed about a meaningless game?" He goes, "I want to win. Every time I want to go out there, I want to win." So guys like Perry and Deneau and all of them basically are so highly competitive that they say stuff in the heat of the battle that looks great, and it's great for social media, and it dials up the intrigue, but it's also forgotten about. Like, they're not going to remember that game. Like, look, the fans are going to boo Darnell Nurse. They're going to probably boo him pretty heavily. Mm-hmm. Are they going to target Darnell Nurse? No, I don't think so. There's no retaliation. The player's not hurt. He's fine now. So I just think it dials up the intrigue between these two teams. And more importantly, I think more the fan bases than the actual players themselves.
Mm-hmm.
If the Kings make it past the Oilers, foul, I know it's a hard question to ask. We don't know the matchups, but I assume you probably got a bracket going. How far do you see them going here? Yeah.
They can get to the conference final because they played well against Edmonton. I think they beat Vegas 3 out of 4, but they get smoked by Colorado.
Yeah.
They get smoked by Dallas. They got a shot at Winnipeg. Could this team get out of the division? They could. I watched these 3 teams play. There's not much separating Vegas, Edmonton, and LA. So any of the 3 teams going to get out. I'll give Vegas a slight edge because I like the way they play down the stretch. They're big, they're physical, and they have a chip on their shoulders from last year because they always think they should be in the conference, final or the final or winning it all. So I'll give them a slight edge, but there's not much separating the teams. So if the Kings could get out, they could win 2 rounds, this team. I think there's enough balance because they have 2 scoring lines this year. They only had 1 line last year, the Kopitar line. So they could do it, but they haven't done it. And the question is, when will they do it? Is this the year? It's a very confident team. I'll tell you that. They're not intimidated by the Oilers. They really aren't. I'm around these guys a lot. I mean, Drew Doughty's thirsting to beat these guys. He can't wait to play them again. Right now, he's not 100% Drew Doughty. So it's going to be really interesting. But yeah, to your point, I just think that the winner of the Central, if it's Dallas or Colorado, it would be a 5-game series for the Kings. So I think that's the farthest. But that would be a good thing considering this team has not won a playoff round.
Success. Yeah.
Since they won the Stanley Cup. It's been 11 years since they won a playoff round.
Yeah. If McDavid and Draisaitl are on opposite lines, 1 and 2, what do you want the Deneau line? Who do you want them matched up against?
Well, I would play Deneau probably against Connor because he's the less. I want Kopitar against Draisaitl.
Okay.
Right, because of the size factor. So I think they would use, and Phil's been effective. Here's the thing. When you go back and look at these series, they get crushed on the special teams. They're a better team 5-on-5. I don't think they're going to do a lot of damage 5-on-5 Edmonton. I really don't. I think if they win the series, they're going to do what they always do. They're going to get 40% power play conversion and win the series. So I think Deneau would go up against the McDavid line, but Byfield can play defense. He's a 200-foot player now.
He's so good.
And he's 6'5", and he's fast, and his wing spread is 7 foot when he puts out his arms. So he plays defense now too. So I don't think they need Phil to shut down one of those 2 lines. I think they would go in at least at home, matching up Kopitar and Draisaitl, and McDavid and Byfield. And if Byfield needs some help, then sure you could put Deneau in there. But I think Byfield's ready. He's really matured into a 200-foot player, and like I said, he's been their highest scorer coming down the stretch.
Another big picture question. What's your Cup final right now? Who do you think's? If you had to pick one team, who's your team right now?
2022 rematch, Colorado and Tampa. I like Colorado because I love. Look, there are levels of GMs, right? Like Jim Nill's up there because he's back to back, right? Breezeball, great, right? So look what Chris McFarland did in Colorado this year. Within 6 weeks, he swapped out both goaltenders. Both. What contending team does that? And then, Brock Nelson. Yeah, I love Brock Nelson. I have friends on the Islanders. Yeah, but nobody talks about Charlie Coyle as a 3C.
Yeah,
are you kidding me? McKinnon, Coyle, Nelson, and Jack Drury is a 4C. Yeah. Like who's beating that? And Nikushin, doesn't mess around.
As long as they have trouble. Yeah,
at least he's there.
No Russian powder.
And imagine
Gabe.
The first game at Game 3 at Ball Arena, he steps on the ice.
Electric.
And now, look, I don't know. Look, I think it might be a situation like we had with Stammer in the bubble where he goes out there. I don't know how much he can do. Makes a goal, just for a shift. Yep. I just love Colorado, down the middle. Cale Makar scored 30 goals. He's the easy, Norris winner. The one concern I have, and I've been joking about this a lot, is that Wedgwood and Blackwood have as many playoff wins as me, you, and everybody else on this show.
Yeah.
They've never won a playoff game. So now the one break they get is they are playing Dallas, and I don't trust Jake Ottinger in the playoffs.
Really?
I last year against Edmonton, I'm sorry. No,
Yeah.
I don't trust them. But if there's a fatal flaw to Colorado, it's the goaltending. But I like a rematch because I love Tampa Bay. I think that could be a relatively easy series against Florida. As crazy as that sounds.
Whoa! Oh, Lee, what do you have to say about that?
Well, I don't. Is Matthew how healthy is Matthew?
I heard Marie says they're all ready to go. Which I mean, with Matthew Tkachuk, that means his
He's been out.
Is he 100%?
his,
out
his
since
leg could be
February.
broken and he'd be going. But
Yeah, but he's out since February.
Yeah,
might not be himself.
And I just
But
I
that
like
depth.
Tampa. Yeah, but I like Tampa because if it was Tampa and Washington, I think Tampa would win. They have the better goaltender. And people forget that people forget who the second best goaltender in the league is. It's Andrei Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
And you know what? After Four Nations, I will never doubt John Cooper again. Ever. Everybody gave him crap for Bennington. Okay, it worked. And did you see how much he hugged those players when they won? I will never tell that guy short. They have a deep team. I love Brandon Hagel, 35 goals. 35 even strength
We love
goals.
that Hagel. We miss him.
No power play goals.
Nope.
It's a deep, dangerous. I like that team coming out because they've been there before. Have a great coach and have a great goaltender. So I think we could see a matchup of 2022 again.
Yeah. Do you look at that Battle of Florida matchup as like whoever comes out is going to go to the Cup out of the East?
Yeah.
Right.
I would favor that. I want to see how Washington plays as this group because you know what? You fight for feet in the regular season. You fight for inches in the playoffs, and it's a very, very different game. And they'll get a little bit of it in Montreal in Game 3. That's going to be upside down in that building, right? It's going to be nuts. And Demidov coming out. Imagine if Demidov scores a goal in Game 3, or they split, or let's say they split in Washington. It's going to be a cauldron. Like the Caps haven't faced anything like that with respect to a visiting crowd all season. So there's a lot to do. Now look, Carberry's the coach of the year without question. He's done a fantastic job. I mean, I had Dubois here last year, and now Carberry's talking about Dubois as a Selke winner. This guy played the fourth line in Game 5 against the Edmonton Oilers last year. He was on the fourth line in an elimination game. And one of my friends said, I've never seen a guy play with his one hand on a stick more than this guy, like a matador. He was terrible. He was awful. And now he's a future Selke winner. Was like I said, was Carberry day drinking?
Yeah. How has he done that?
I don't know.
I'll never forget that
but
shift in Columbus. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been amazing. But yeah, I think the team. Yeah, you could make the case for the team coming out of that 2-3 matchup can get to the Cup final and win it. It's just for Florida to do it back to back.
That's a lot.
That's a
3
lot
straight
of hockey,
years.
man. It's a lot of hockey.
Could have come back to him. Yeah.
Yep.
We shall see. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a good one for sure.
Oh, yeah, it will be.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Dennis, I mean, thank you so much for coming on.
Great conversation.
You guys are fantastic. Happy to come on and talk hockey with you anytime and enjoy the playoffs.
Yeah,
of course.
You too. You might have switched me. I might have to go back and edit my bracket. I might take LA.
I'm gonna stick with my guns, right? But my
It's
brain,
not too late.
my brain.
No, you got a great
LA,
point there.
but,
No, you got a point about Edmonton. I mean, they could rise. Those two guys. They can ever. They might hurt their backs for the next round carrying this bunch of this sort of porn cast. It's not about those guys. It's about everybody else on the team. Right?
Good point.
They're not
Good
as
point.
good.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you again so much.
Yeah.
Anytime. Happy to be on the show. Thanks, boys.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Take care. That was awesome.
That's
that was
great. Yeah.
Dennis Bernstein of the
Awesome.
NHL Network Radio, and a writer for the Fourth Period. Yeah,
has a lot of good points, man.
He does. I mean, he's
He
right,
does.
dude. That's
He's
my
not wrong.
That's my thing with the LA and Edmonton series is like it should be LA. It should completely and utterly be LA in almost every single metric. It's just like
I just can't do it, man.
I just don't know if I want to pick against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
I can't, especially after I know it's completely unrelated. I mean, it's not completely unrelated. That Four Nations game-winning goal for Connor McDavid, man, like won the Conn Smythe last year. The Oilers were one game away. Like, I just can't see that team just being a first-round exit. I don't think there's enough there to win the Cup. But like, they faced this team before. They beat them 3 times before. I know the Kings have the advantage of virtually every metric. I'm still not picking them. They beat them in 7 games in 2022. They beat them in 6 games in 2023. They beat them in 5 games in 2024. I'm not saying they're going to sweep them this year, but like they're going to beat them again. I'm sorry. I can't go against them. I can't. But we'll see. We shall see.
Let's we're doing the Eastern Conference in 30 minutes here.
Oh, man, we gotta speed run this four series in 30 minutes.
That's not. It's gonna be hard. I think we were talking about that fucking wild Golden Knights series for like 7 minutes longer than we needed to.
Probably.
And I think there's 1 or 2 of those.
Oh,
in the
there's one
East.
series I think we could probably spend a minute on and move on.
Yeah.
I wonder which one that is.
Well, we're definitely not starting with it because we're gonna start with the Toronto Maple Leafs versus
boy.
the Ottawa Senators.
Tassos' favorite
The Battle
series.
of Ontario. Tassos is nervous. I'm excited. I
can't
picked
wait.
the Toronto Maple Leafs to get it done in 7 games. But I did that just so I could like hedge my happiness. I'm going to be vehemently, I don't even know if that's the correct way to pronounce that word, but I did it anyway. I am going to be emphatically cheering for the Ottawa Senators in this series for multiple reasons. It's beneficial for the Blackhawks for 2 big reasons to have the Toronto Maple Leafs get bounced in the first round. I just don't see it happening, and I'm sure Tassos doesn't either.
Yeah, I'm picking the Senators in 7 games. You know, the Leafs love those 7 games there, right? If they're gonna get past the first round, they got to do it like at 4, 5, or 6, right? If it gets a 7, it's already over. But look, it's gonna be one of those areas where it's like, yeah, the Leafs have the advantage in every metric. I do not care. Like this is the 9th year of this or whatever. I've lost count of how many years it's been. This core 4 has never gotten it done. They never will get it done. They're a bunch of choke artists over there in Toronto land. So the playoffs, they always disappear. Like, and it will continue this year. And I'm sure this will probably be it for Mitch Marner, hopefully for us, and he joins Chicago in the offseason. And also, those 2 things you brought up, obviously, was the Mitch Marner thing, and also we do have the Leafs first rounder again this year. So if they are first round exit, of which they will be, that will be another new pick around 17, 18, 19, 20 for the Hawks for that second pick. So there's 2 really good reasons, I think, to wish for Leafs to eliminate the first round. You brought them up, right? We want to see the demise of that core 4 there finally get broken up, and Mitch Marner potentially it's a Chicago Blackhawk. Are we being delusional right now?
No,
yes,
I'm just excited for Tassos to open his mouth.
What do you guys say, Tassos? Bring it.
I think you guys are you're absolutely delusional, Justin.
I'm delusional about at least first round playoff exit. That's delusional.
This is different. Here,
we've heard this before.
I mean,
it is different.
Heard it before.
It should be different
we'll
this
see.
time.
We'll see.
It should be. Everything seems to be clicking right now. You've got a new coach. You asked for a new coach. You got a Stanley Cup winner, tough as nails guy. Like he's on that list of like 1,000 career games played and highest penalty minutes and whatever. They have played a better defensive style. They get outshot a lot, but their goalies are awesome. Mitch Marner's, contract year playing right now. So is John Tavares. So is, a few of the other guys. Matthew Nyes is like, they're going to have to pay him a ton of money in the offseason. And I would do it. I would do it as soon as possible and for as long as of term as possible. And then you deal with Mitch after that. And then you kind of see where that goes. And then you deal with John after that. And if you're, a lot of it does hinge on this playoff run. It's the Battle of Ontario. We talked to Justin and I talked to Victoria Matiash. And, early 2000s Leafs Sens playoff series were very intense and very emotional. And this has all the makings of something like that. I see how the Sens are upset, potential here for Ottawa, but I like the depth. I like Dylan Cousins. I like Shane Pinto. I like Brady Tkachuk, obviously. Sanderson's been awesome. Shabbat's been awesome. We'll see about. I don't like Ullmark. I don't like Ullmark in the playoffs. I don't trust him. I think the Leafs are going to be able to, the Sens need Ullmark to be awesome. The Bruins sat Ullmark when they won the series. They put in Ullmark and they lost. So I think the Leafs have Ullmark figured out. I think to me the biggest X factor is Austin Matthews, and what he looks like and how many can he shoot in the net over the course of however long this goes.
It's been kind of quiet this year. I know he has injury issues, but he's got to have his clutch moment here.
I got Leafs in 6. I see it going that way.
Well, I think you have it in 6 because I don't think you'd like what happened if it went to 7, right? Yeah.
I want to say Leafs in 5, but I don't want to I don't want to
appear like a homer.
I don't want to.
I get it. You're right. Everything you just said is right. Like it's kind of the same way I view like the Edmonton Kings thing, where it's like brain says Leafs, but I'm a history merchant. I'm always a history merchant. I'm a history minor in college, right? I love my history, so I don't know. I just don't see it happening, man. But here's the thing: even if they do win the first round, oh great, you get to play Tampa or Florida, one of the Florida teams. I don't think I see them getting past either of them. So it's like
the only hope for that is that Florida and Tampa just
beat up on each other.
Beat up on each other,
right.
and that like that series goes 7 games,
and then you got a quick series versus Ottawa and be fresh.
I just have to. Brandon in chat just said if the Leafs beat Ottawa, they're going to the final.
What?
I completely push back on. Dude, I think that regardless of what happens, even if the Leafs get out of the first round, I think playing a full 7-game series against Brady Tkachuk is going to he's going to unleash hell on these guys. He is. Even if they go out in 5, this guy is going to.
He might be a little banged up though.
He might be, but I don't think that's going to stop him from being physical as hell and running guys into the boards.
And he's been waiting for this his whole career, man, his whole life.
And then like I really could see Toronto getting past Tampa, even though I know most people are thinking Tampa's better than Florida. But dude, I'm telling you, if you go from a 7-game series against Brady and Ottawa straight into this absolute rat, grinds you down, physical Florida Panthers team with his brother, you're just first rounds. You get one brother, and then the next. I just see that being problems for the Leafs, like over several series stacked up, and just what that does to these guys' bodies. I'm not calling them soft necessarily. It's just. I don't know, man. It's a lot of physicality.
We'll see. I do think a difference is like the coaching change is a difference. I mean, Craig Berube's a guy who's been there, done that in the playoffs, right? Won cups, right? This team's identity is a bit different from the past. Still have a lot of that softness you mentioned, but not in all ways, right? I think a guy like Matthew Nyes is definitely X factor, definitely the guy they've been waiting for there, right? And he's had a nice breakout year there. We'll see what happens there in the offseason. I'm sure they want to get him locked up, but he's been a big piece to them. If they're going to win this series, like, I don't think it's necessarily going to be through the core four. I think it's going to be through Matthew Nyes. Like he's that good, right? He's that guy who plays that type of power forward, fuck you mentality that they've been kind of lacking the last few years. So I know he's been there, but like he's really arrived now. So we'll see. Like the Leafs could totally win this series. I mean, it could go either way. I feel like I think Senators are going to give them a hell of a run. Like I think this is going to be a long series. Battle of Ontario is like going to be a hell of a bloodbath. But it'd be funny for the memes. Like I'm a meme guy, you know me. I'm a funny man, a comedian. I think another Leafs first round playoff. It never gets old. It never gets old, man. It's funny. It gets funnier each time. I know they won that one against Tampa 2 years ago. Who cares, right? They went nowhere. So, yeah.
Okay, let's move on now to the Battle of Florida here, the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Florida Panthers. Obviously, the Lightning locking up the home ice advantage there in the 2 seed. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, this could be. I mean, I know I've said Dallas, Colorado, but like this one,
I think this is the biggest coin flip. I think this is a bigger coin flip for me than Colorado, Dallas.
Yeah, like this is the game to play. I mean, this is the series of this first round. You could argue, at least in the East, it is. These two teams, like our guest said, they absolutely despise each other, right? I mean, they've been there, done that. We've seen these series before. It wasn't that entertaining last year, but this Tampa team is different. It's better. I think they're going to give Florida a run. Like this is not going to be an easy first round for the defending champs by any means. They have played a lot of hockey, but some of them haven't, and they're going to be coming back, right? We'll see how Matthew looks. I think that's going to be a big factor, right? Is he 110%, et cetera? Is the team at full health? According to Paul Maurice, they will be, but we'll see how it looks game one if these guys are on their games. Florida, I have Florida in 7. I give them the edge. They've been there, done that the last few years. I think they're the deepest team in the playoffs. Like this is probably in terms of playoff hockey, the team that's best geared for these moments, right? And they've done it before, so it's going to be a tough task, right? They've been in the back-to-back finals. To make it 3 in a row is going to be tricky, but I do have them doing it. I have them losing in the Stanley Cup final to the Avalanche just to get ahead of myself there, but I do have them going pretty far, but I'm getting narrowly edged by the Avs. But no, in terms of this series, I think it's a coin flip, like you said, could go either way, but I just have to give the edge to the Cats. Yeah.
Tampa really looks so good this year. I did really like the additions they made at the deadline. I think they're deep. I think they have 2 lines that can hurt you really bad. Vasilevsky's been really good. He's been looking like prime Vasilevsky. That's obviously a very scary thing in the playoffs. And also this Tampa Bay team, they do always dial up their team defense every time they get to the playoffs. Like the team defense they play during the regular season is not the same with it's just not the same as it is come postseason. But with all that being said, I'm still taking this Florida Panthers team to get
right?
Dude, I just like if as long as Matthew Tkachuk is not broken like he was
in the 4 nations.
Like if he's actually able to play, maybe just nursing that or the leg issue a little bit. They're too deep. They've gotten better from that. They are literally a better team than last year.
That's crazy. That's insane.
And so I'm not going to pick against them. I know that Ekblad is out for the first 2 games.
And I rely on Seth Jones there.
Dude, I think those
could be their downfall.
I think those first 2 games are so important for Tampa. Like I think Tampa
if they can go up 2-0.
Tampa needs to win those first 2 games in Florida without Ekblad, because if you split and then you're going back to Sunrise with Ekblad coming back at full strength, the first time we've seen since this deadline, bring in Marchand and stuff, we haven't seen the Florida Panthers at their full capacity a single time. And so if you're headed back to game 3, tied 1-1, and you're getting the Florida Panthers at full health, good luck.
Yeah, there's something to be said that for, but that is the first time we'll see it, right? And does it translate right away? You know what I mean? Like there wasn't the acclimation process. The other teams may have gotten it right, and their first time you're going to see that is against this Tampa team. It definitely looks as strong as they have since that 22 Cup run. Like it does feel kind of similar to the Avs from that standpoint, right? I think our guest brought that up too, where it's like I could see it if they get past. I think either of these teams, right? If I have Florida go in the final, but like if it's Tampa, I could easily see it being them too. Like I could echo those sentiments, right? And Brandon Hagel effect too, the best second liner in hockey, man. This guy's nasty, right? So it could happen, right? They've had a couple, disappointing early exits the last couple of years, but I still have a hard time seeing him go through this Panthers team, right? I think just the Marchand effect too, like how is he going to look in the playoffs, potentially playing with a Matthew Tkachuk, but that's going to be so fun to watch. So yeah, I just think the way they play, it's just they grind it down. They're physical. They're a perfectly built playoff hockey team. I don't see it. I don't care who they play. They're not going to be a first round exit. Yeah.
So who you got?
Battle of Florida. My head says Tampa in 6. My heart says Florida in 7. So I'm going to meet in the middle and go Tampa in 7.
Wow. Okay. You still have Florida too, right?
Yeah.
In 7.
Yeah, I think I took him in 7.
Yeah.
I took him in 7 because Ekblad's being out 2 games. If they were at full capacity and we have these teams at their healthiest, I would be taking Florida in less than 7 games.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on then. Washington Capitals versus the Montreal Canadiens. First of all, before we do this, did you guys see, after Montreal beat Carolina and clinched the spot in their last game of the season, they had the players out there and had them talking to the fans.
What?
Did you not see this? Suzuki was talking to the fans after they clinched the playoff spot.
Yeah.
They had Suzuki with a microphone talking to the fans, thanking them, getting them hyped for the playoffs. That is the corniest thing I've ever seen. I can't believe you didn't see that. It's like, dude, you didn't win anything. You just made it to the playoffs. And you're like, thank you guys so much. It's been an incredible year. We really appreciate all you. It's like, dude, that is loser talk.
Wow, yeah.
That, I just after saying that, I was like, dude, these guys are going to get stomped.
And honestly, you know what? I hope they do. I know it's not popular narrative, right? I know the Capitals are a team like the Jets where it's like, oh, they've had this great regular season. I'm not really sure about them in the playoffs, but they're going to win this series. There's no 2021 Habs Cinderella run here. It's like, oh, they got Ivan Demidov, Hermadur. I do not care, man. It's been too good of a season for this Capitals team. The vibes, the storylines have been too high. They're not just going to be a first round exit. They're not going to win the cup. I don't have them as my cup team, but I do have them making it to the third round here, which maybe I don't feel super confident about that. They could easily lose in the second round to the Canes, but no, I think it's too good of a team. Carberry's a great coach. They're easy jack ends for him, and the Canadiens. It's also such a young team, man. This is really their first experience for a lot of these guys in playoff hockey. Some of them were on that 21 team, right? The Caulfield, Suzuki's, yada yada. It's been a nice little run from a nice storyline, right? Probably earlier in the playoffs than I would have expected. I would have preferred to see the Jackets here, but that is what it is. It could happen, Crazy things have happened in hockey, right? Crazy upsets have happened, and I think they could make it interesting, maybe win a game. But yeah, I just don't think the mentality here. I think Capitals Ovechkin, he's gonna be motivated here after that goals record. Everything, this team's gonna be motivated. Yeah, I think I have Capitals in 5 games.
I'm not a believer in Washington at all this year. I know they have a super impressive regular season. I know that they've been able to play good team defense, and that was kind of their defense was their game last year, and then they pivoted this year to scoring goals, and it worked out really well.
Playoffs are different.
But I think once they face a teensy weensy itsy bitsy spider worth of adversity, they're gonna, I don't want to say crumble because I don't want to be like disrespectful at all, because I think they do have a ton of really good players, but I don't see them winning a Stanley Cup. That being said, the Montreal Canadiens were like one of the worst defensive teams in the league this year. Statistically, I think they had like the 31st worst goals against expected.
That's
or whatever.
not good
like,
for the playoffs. They're not
horrible.
built for the playoffs.
Not at all.
Not at
They're
all.
too young. It's their first year.
They'll have their time.
It's
not now.
awesome for like, I'd be so pumped if I was a Montreal Canadiens fan, because it's like you get playoff hockey at the Bell Center. You know, Game 3 and Game 4 are going to be rocking. I hope for their sake, and just as a viewer, I hope they're able to win one or two of those, just because I think it'll be electric to see. But it's just too early for this group in my mind.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get swept. I think they're going to win one game at the Bell Center just for the hell of it, right? For the vibes. I think this team has a very bright future. They're going to have their time, but it's early, right? This is going to be a learning experience type of final for them, right? I just think the Capitals team's too good. I don't know if they're really built for the playoffs either, to be honest with you, but I think playing a team like this that's barely squeaked in, and honestly, kind of got gifted that last spot there. You know, was that battle for the last spot in the East wasn't really much of a battle. It was more a mid-off. So, I don't think they're going to be good enough to beat this team that wasn't quite the President's Trophy winners, but was close. So, again, I don't think this Caps team's going to win the Cup, but they're not going to lose a game like this against this type of wild card team.
There's like, I could see upsets. You know, I know I'm making these predictions confidently and saying them in confidence, but I could see so many upsets happening. I think this is the one I can see the least. Which of course, if Montreal fucking does this, I'm going to look like the biggest
I could still
dummy
see
ever.
it more than the Devils, honestly, versus Canes. I think that's like
Literally.
that's the easiest series for me to predict. Like, that's not even we'll get to that when we can finish this one up. But I would have seen it more before, but I just think the way that season ended there, they kind of like, they had a lot of time to clinch that playoff spot too, and it took them literally to like almost the last minute. Like, it wasn't really a killer mentality. Honestly, they're kind of, the Canes like played the Chicago Wolves in that game. Like,
I also
you know,
I think Washington has the edge everywhere.
Yeah,
offensively, defensively, goaltending. Like, yeah, I just think that is too good of a team for Montreal. It's too early for Montreal. I think they could easily make the playoffs next year and maybe be a little bit more compelling, but they're just so bad defensively. They're too young. I don't know. Hudson's been amazing to watch this year, but I think he's going to get devoured.
and the
in
playoffs are not really his style of game. So we'll see.
I don't think you can win a playoff series with having, Lane Hudson being the defenseman who plays the most for your team at this age right now.
Right now, I think in the future you will.
Yeah.
But he's just he's great. Like, he's got to get better defensively, but he will. He's a stud. Davidoff is an X factor, though. I will say that. Like, just drawing him into the lineup there, right in that top six. I mean, I think he's playing third line right now, but it's an X factor. If that guy can go on some type of run there, maybe there's something there. But I don't know if that's going to be enough for me to really get them the edge. I think him in the lineup makes it at least where it's not a complete snoozer. I think they'll make it interesting. Like, there'll be some games where I don't think they're just going to steamroll over them, but I don't think it's going to be, and it's just the fact that the Bell Center of the playoffs is electric, right? That alone, if the game's not that entertaining, it's going to be fun to watch. But I don't think it's quite enough there for me to say that there's an upset there. Yeah.
Tassos, what's your pick here? Washington versus Montreal? Oh, Tassos is not even
it's
here.
me. We're looking at each other in the Zoom.
Raven,
right
what do you
now.
think?
I'm sorry,
What's your thoughts, Raven? Yeah.
I have no thoughts. I'm going to be real.
Okay.
I hope the
Fair
best
enough.
team wins.
All right,
Yeah,
and
fair
then
enough. Hope they both have fun,
lastly, and most importantly,
the least.
Most importantly, we have the Carolina Hurricanes playing the Jack Hughes-less New Jersey Devils. I've got Devils in 5. Go
Let's
ahead,
see.
Justin.
What do I have? I have. Actually, no, I do have the Canes in 5. Why do I thought I had them as a sweep, but it clearly is 4 + 1 does equal 5. So yeah, I guess the Devils will find a way to win a game in here. Do I have any sweeps here? I don't think I do.
I could see the Devils winning a couple. Just for
the hell
off
of
the
it.
strength of nobody thinking they're going to.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's going to be a cakewalk.
That's just kind of how the way sports betting goes. Is you're going to have everybody being like, oh, it's Canes are going to run through them, and then it'll end up being a
This
series.
is absolutely hilarious. The second that we get to this Canes Devils series, my laptop just dies here. So I think that's what my laptop thinks about this New Jersey Devils playoff run here. So I think I might change it to a sweep. Actually, there's got to be a sweep, right? Not every series is going to go at least 5. Something's got to go.
Yeah,
4,
probably,
right,
but also I just don't. I didn't predict a single sweep in my bracket just because statistically it's like you're better off picking a 6-game series. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like just for individuals.
No, I got you.
Okay.
It's a shame. Like, it's a shame that Hughes is out because, like, you want to see that team at full out. I think if he wasn't, I'd still be picking the Canes, but I do think that at least similar to the Kaprizov situation. Like, I think Jack Hughes in that lineup will at least make the series interesting. It'd be, you know, a 6-7 gamer. The Devils is a strong team, but just again, it's one of those teams where it's just like I don't know if that's
it's too
just not
finesse.
quite a playoff team. There's too much skill. There's not enough toolbox. There's not enough grinders. There's a couple, but Carolina's a team where it's like they're not really fun to watch, but they're a team that's sort of built for this, right? They haven't won a cup, but they always win a series. Like they'll get to the
It's
second,
a nightmare
third round.
matchup.
Yeah, like it's just they grind you down. Like you're not gonna be able to finesse a team like that, as you say, right? They could. I mean, the Canes do. I would be curious to see like what happens in that Washington series. Like I had a hard time. Like I was kind of running that over my head. I do edge the Caps, but I could easily see the Canes winning that just because they're always a step away. But yeah, back to this series because I'm already talking about the second round because I really don't give a. I have zero thoughts really or emotions on this series. Which there's always going to be that one first round matchup that's kind of a snoozer, right? There's always going to be one, and it looks like it's going to be this one. But we'll see. There is one thing: these two teams do have a bit of a history with each other. There's that Chatfield incident, etc. Right? There's a bit of bad blood.
It's going to be electric.
It would be nice if like everybody expected, because the whole narrative from everybody, not just us, is that's going to be a boring series. Watch this end up being like one of the out of nowhere, just end up being absolute cinema. Like that'd be pretty cool.
Carolina, New Jersey.
Yeah. It'd be nice.
Yeah,
right?
you hope it can be a compelling series. We don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't see enough there. And like I said, Canes with 5.
Okay, awesome. All right, I think we're gonna wrap it there. That was a packed show. I hope you guys enjoyed everything. We appreciate all of you watching, listening. It means a lot to us. Hopefully you appreciated that breakdown and all the stuff we did today. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow the Instagram and all the social medias, including X and TikTok. Give us a rating and review, 5 stars. Preferably as far as the rating goes on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. All those little things go a very long way for us. So yes.
That's great, but I think I have one more thing to say, Lee. We didn't get any prospect talk in today. I just got to throw in the Rockford Ice Hogs all of a sudden have Kevin Korchinski and Artie Levshinov on their teams to gear up for the Calder Cup playoffs. I think we should throw in some Rockford Ice Hogs Calder playoff live streams in the mix here. What do you think? What do you have to say about that?
I don't think we're going to have time for that, and I would rather stream NHL playoff games than because unfortunately this is not Rockford Hockey Radio. It is Chicago Hockey Radio.
It is.
But yes, thank you guys so much for listening. We are live streaming both games tomorrow, so be here for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see you then.
See ya.